Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel and this amazing video. I'm Aditya. In this video, we are going to create a ticket management app or a project management app using Nuxt 3 and Laravel 11 Sanctum API. So we will be going through the complete Laravel code, the Nuxt code, and we will be doing these two as like a decoupled app. So Nuxt will be on a separate server, Laravel on the separate server. So let me show you a quick demo. Also, we are using Tailwind CSS. And then I can log in. Then here I can come to my dashboard. Currently it has nothing, but I have the projects. I can delete the projects if I like. I can add a project. Let's say project ABC3. This is amazing. Save it. We have project ABC3. We can go to a project. We can have the tickets. We can add a ticket. Let's say adding a new ticket feature. This is Nuxt and Laravel tutorial. Add the ticket. We have the ticket. Not just that, we can move the ticket from one board to another, and also we can add a board. So let's say we have here done board, we add it, and there we have it, 2 boards, and there we have it, we have the board. So we will see all this in this video. So let's get started. Let's start with the Laravel side. So we will first create our API, create the scaffolding of the API, because there could be some changes that we need to make as we may move on the Nuxt side and maybe add some more APIs. So what we'll do is we'll just create like a base foundation, build something, and then take it from there. So I've also created a crash course on Laravel API where I have shown like how you can create the Laravel project with Laravel 11 and the basics of Sanctum API. So I may not go much in depth, but I'll just show you the steps and focus more on the logic side of things. So here I've used this command to create the Laravel project. Instead of example app, I have set it project API. You can call it anything you like. Paste this command in the terminal. It should create a Laravel project for you. Also make sure before this step, which is very important, you need to have PHP installed. The latest version of PHP, the better it is. Now, once that's done, we need to run the API scaffolding, because in Laravel version 11 and above, at least when this video is recorded, the API scaffolding that was there in Laravel 10 has been removed, as most of the files have been removed in the Laravel 11, and you can do the project as and when or customize the project as and how you need. So that's why we will add that API by ourselves. So here, if I look for Sanctum, so here we'll just run this command. So php install artisan install. So here in the terminal, I'm going to paste that command. Now this should create the scaffolding for me. There you go. So it will install whatever I need for Laravel Sanctum. And here it will say one new database migration has been published. Would you like to run all the pending database migrations? So I will run the migrations later. Like I need to create more migrations, but for now, I'll just keep it till here. Great. Please add has API tokens to the user model. So let's see to our user model. So app models, user model, there is no has API token. So here, let's add that. So has API tokens, there you go. Now I'll be using Laravel Breeze. So let's go to the starter kit of Laravel Breeze. So Laravel, Breeze, if we just look for that starter kits. And here we just want the Laravel Breeze with API version, because our backend is just for API. We're not using any resources, views, or all those things. So here, if we look for API only, so Breeze and API, so this one over here, there you go. So let's copy this command and let's paste this in the terminal. Oh, we also need to install Breeze, sorry. So let's install Breeze, composer require Laravel Breeze, and then we run that command. So I can just use up arrow keys after this. There you go. And here I just want it with API only. There you go. Testing, check PHP unit, and there you go. So here we have the database migration again. So I'll run it later because I need to add more migrations. So it did add the migration, or it just ran that scaffolding that we did for PHP artisan API install. So it just did also that steps. Great. Now next, let's create the models that we need. So we will need one model for projects. Then there will be those categories. I will call them as boards. So one project will have many boards. And also we will have maybe tickets. So each board has many tickets. So let's go step by step. So here I'm going to say PHP artisan make model. Now here I I can create a model and migration in one command. So I will say model project, and I would say migration with for -m for migration. If I use controller, if I need a controller as well, then it will be MC. So if I hit enter, you will see it will create a controller, migration, and the model. So if we also do that for board, also do that for ticket. There you go. Perfect. Now let's go to the migrations. So here in the database, migrations, and we have jobs. For those are for the background jobs. So that's great. Here we have personal access tokens, great. Projects, there you go. Now generally I like to have the IDs to be UUID, so it becomes easy. It becomes more secure because incremental IDs are easy to guess. So I can also do that here as well. I can make it as UUID. For users table, I would say ID, and this is a primary key. And what I'm going to do is I am going to also make this one over here as, if I go to the user model, I'm going to say that has UUID. So it knows that, okay, because when you use this model query builder or ORM query builder, at that time it considers that it's an auto increment ID, but when you add this trait, it knows that it's not auto increments, it's actually a UUID. So it will automatically create a UUID for us. We don't need to write any extra logic. So going back to this one over here, so just need to make sure that, because the user ID will be used at multiple places, so just need to make sure that there also we change it, because here we change that from normal ID to UUID. So here, all good, all good, all good. Great, great, great. Okay. So now here, I will have the same thing. So UUID ID, and this is the primary key. Now here, what I will need to do is, I just need to make sure I have put the primary here, like this. Then I may need a description, so I'll just put it as a text description of the project. Then I will have the creator, so foreign UUID, user ID. This is like a built-in function in Laravel. So if it will create a user ID column with string and assign as a reference of user ID. So all we need to make sure that this is the singular of the table and the primary key. So user underscore ID. Our table is users over here. So users and the primary key is ID. Over here, we have it user underscore ID, singular of the table and the primary key. So it will automatically create those constraints. I want to cascade it on delete. So when I delete a user, the projects will also get deleted associated to it. Okay, so user ID is there. So I will tell it more like a creator ID. Or let's keep it a user ID actually. Let's keep it like this, simple. Next, we go to the board. If more fields are needed, we can add it later. But for now, I think these fields are good enough. In the boards, we will also make this as a UUID, and I will make this as a primary column. And then here I will have $table. So this is of column string, the title of the board, like it could be doing, testing, whatever. So that's the title. Then here I will have foreign UUID, that will be the project ID. So what project this board belongs to. So there could be this is more like one-to-many relationship. So one project has many boards, so something like that. And I think this again is fine. More columns needed, again, we can add it. Tickets, same thing, UUID, ID, this is primary. Then we will have the title to the ticket, string, that's the title. Then we can have the description to the ticket, and also we can have what board it belongs to. Now, you might need the tickets to be in specific rank, so I'll just add that rank column, but we can, of course, we can keep that functionality as an optional thing, but here it would be more like you can drag and drop tickets, rearrange the tickets. So here I'm going to say $table, we would say rank or position, let's call it rank. And default, let's not give any default because we need to keep it like +1 of the previous one. So I'll just keep it like this. So we'll just have rank by ourselves. Great. So this becomes our tickets. Now we might have like a simple relationship here, maybe something like, let's say one ticket is assigned to many users, or one user. So like just keep it simple, like one-to-one relationship, like one ticket to one user or one ticket to many users. So we can keep it simple, or we can have one ticket to many users and one user has many tickets. We can also make many to many. So let's create that pivot table of tickets and user. So here I'm going to say PHP artisan make migration. I'm going to say user ticket. I'm going to call it create because I want to create this as a migration, as a new migration. So it will create a table. If I use the table flag here instead of create, it will create a migration to update the table. So I'm going to call this user ticket. So one table singular, the other table singular. If we keep it like this, so Laravel knows that, okay, this actually it says ticket user. I'll just double check with the Laravel docs for many to many. We'll just double check how they name it. So your users, oh sorry, it's role user. So in this case, we will have ticket user. So it will be ticket user. So one user has many tickets, and then we can, many user has many tickets, and we can assign those. Hit enter, and then we have the migration. So let's go to that migration as well. Here, this primary, and then here we have foreign ID ticket ID, and we have user ID. We can add additional columns as well, but for now, these are good enough. So now let's run this migration and put this on our database. So currently I'm using local database. So in .env file, I have added those configurations of password and all those things. So make sure you have added those in .env file. That's very, very important. Okay, so we have something, personal access token already exists. So in this case, I'm going to do fresh. Perfect. Everything is good. We got all the tables in the database. Now we will now also use Mailtrap because sometimes we will also need some emails to send here and there, and also for verification, because most of you asked in my Sanctum API tutorial as well, like how can we have email verification? So for that reason, you can use any SMTP server, Gmail, Outlook, no problem. But here we will just use Mailtrap for simple testing. So I'll copy this from here, put it in my .env file. So let's close these migrations and just open .env file. Over here, I think the mail thing is here. So we'll put that here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the first 5 lines, we take it from here and put it over here. Perfect. So that's for the Mailtrap. Now, if we go back again here, we can now see if we get any emails. So if we go to inboxes, if any email comes, we can see it over here. Great. Now let's go to our code and let's start working on the authentication part first. So here we got routes, web.php. We got here auth.php, which maps on these routes like register, login, forget password and all. We are interested in these two. We need to modify these two because we need to send a token back to the user. So here I'm going to go to HTTP register user controller and authenticated session controller. So registered user controller here. When we create the user, we get the user. Here it generally says no response, with no content. But we don't want that. We want to send the user details with the token. So here I'm going to return response JSON. I'm going to say user is $user and token is user create token. So this will create the token for the user with their name, or you can create using their email, or you can create using any default name, their device name, anything. And we just need to send the plain text token so that they can store it somewhere. It could be the cookies, local storage, or it could be somewhere in .env file if this is one-time token, depends upon how they are using it. Now here it says response, it's not exactly the type of response, it's a JSON response. So we need the JSON response. There you go, perfect. Same for, I think we can just copy this line because we need to do the same thing in here. So when we are login the user, so here we just return the user, and this would be JSON response, this one over here, and it says request authenticate. And I think here, if we look for the login request code that comes in the requests or login request, we can just say something like this. This will be request user, and then here we will have, okay, let's keep this here in the user like this, auth user, and then we have the user. Let's get this auth facade is already there, and we have user create token. Now this is going to throw an error saying that this might not be of something like this, but we can say that this user variable is of type user model, because auth user returns the instance of user model. So we just tell that, okay, this is of instance of user model, and then that IntelliSense error will go off. Great. Now here we need to destroy the user. It says regenerate token, invalidate token. So session, we can keep these things over here like this, but here we just need to delete the token. So here I'm going to say $request user, and I'm going to say delete all their tokens. And then we can just send like response with a JSON message. JSON logged out. This is again going to be a JSON response. Perfect. So this is actually our authentication code so far. So let's give this a try. Let's see if this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and open Postman. Also, I will need the Postman client to be installed. I already have here one collection created for Laravel Sanctum, which is from my previous video. There, we need to add a script. So if I go to the scripts section, it's in the register actually, for register and login. We need to add this script, so that pre-request script. So what this pre-request script does is, now in normal application, let's say we are using Nuxt or Next or some kind of a front end, and we are using Laravel Sanctum at the back end, we first make request to this CSRF cookie, Sanctum CSRF cookie, we get the CSRF cookie, and we need to send that cookie for login and register route. So we need to do that same for login and register, so for the login as well. Now in Postman, this we need to do it manually. So we, like how we do it in that normal Axios request or JavaScript fetch API request. Here we add this prescript so that before we hit these routes, this and the register route, it makes the request to this first, gets the token and stores it in the Postman variable of XSRF cookie. Great. Now we go to headers over here and we keep that token over here as the variable XSRF cookie. This is an important step. Otherwise you will get unnecessary errors, which could be route login is not a post route and all those things. Also, you need to make sure that this is a prescript. It's not a postscript. So this is very important. Okay, so let's run our server. So here I'm going to say PHP artisan serve. Perfect. I have already added those variables over here. So localhost :8000. These API tokens, we don't need it actually. These things are also like unnecessary. We can comment these. Now first we make request to this route just in case so that we don't have any problem. Okay, great. Now let's try to register. So here the script is already there. Let's go to the body part. I will put this email and let's send a request. Token ID at row. So something went wrong in the personal access token. So let's see what's wrong. I think the problem is here. If we go to migrations, personal access tokens, this tokenable morphs tokenable. Okay, let's try with this. So here I'm gonna comment this line and I'm gonna say $table because this creates two columns. So this will be string. This will be tokenable type. So morphs will create two columns, tokenable type and tokenable ID. And here we could say this is a, so now here we need to make sure that this Sanctum model, so in this case it's user model. So any model or any table has UUID, or any model we use for Sanctum, it should have UUID as the ID. Based on that basis, here we are going to say foreign, or we just say UUID tokenable ID. I think it doesn't have any constraints, but that's fine. We just do the fresh migration, and there you go. Also for the password reset table, I think we might need to, so this is cache. It's fine. In the users table, password reset tokens. So email token, great. So here we don't have, here also we got user ID. So this should be foreign UUID. I think the rest other things are good. So let's also migrate this again. Perfect. Now let's run the server. Let's try with Postman over here, register. There you go. So we got the token and we got the user. Let's see if it's registered in the database. If it's in the Postman, it should be in the database as well. So if we go back over here, select rows, and there we go. We have the user. Now let's also double check if we can log in as well. So if we go to Postman again, sorry. So here, if we try to log in, the script is there, great. Inside this, we have the email password. To do is also, I will just fix this error first. So create token argument must be of type string, null given. So something is wrong in our code here. So here we have create token. Oh, it says request name. It shouldn't be request name. It should be $user name. So that will create a new token. And now we can just give this a try, run this route and try to log in. There you go. So we have the logged in user. Great. Now let's see if the email has come through. Nothing has come through here. So somehow the email verification wasn't triggered. So I just need to add this line, email verification notification, email verification notification. And also on the user model, I need to add the notifiable trait, which is already there. And once we do that, we have the email over here, which just verifies our email address. If we go there, it will say login because get method is not supported. So here also we need to make certain changes. The first change we need to make is inside our verify email controller. You will see here email verification request. So if I go in this over here, this user, okay, now this is useful. So this is actually equivalent to $request user, this user over here. But the problem here is that as we are using stateless authentication, because this is through API, that auth card somehow is not storing this user. So that's one reason. And also if we use, let's say, some Sanctum token, now if you use the Sanctum token, this will work. In that case, what we need to do is from here, where we have this route verify email ID hash, we need to put that in api.php within this Sanctum card. I will also tell you why I have put these two here. So we have put the resend, like the route that resends the email verification, and the route that handles logout. I have put it here because they also follow the auth card. To be precise, they can follow the Sanctum card, because generally we will be sending this once the user is logged in. So we will get the token till then. Here also we will send it once the user is logged in. So we will get the token again. But in this case over here, this one, it could be the case that the token is not there, because it could be the case. Let's say, I'll give an example. Let's say I registered, I get the email, but I didn't click on the email for, let's say, some 3 days, 4 days or something like that. And in the meantime, if I log out or log in again, something, I will get a new token. So in that case, this will look, if I've passed that in the link, that old token, it won't authenticate. And also passing the token through the email link, that may not be a good idea. So what we could do is we can pass the ID. Now here we are using UUID. So that's why if we have used the incremental ID, then it would be a little bit tricky, but we are using the UUID. So that would be good. And also we are passing the hash. So that's great as well. And here we are passing it to, like, we are making this a signed URL so that the URL doesn't expire after some, like if it's expired, then it's not treated as a legit URL. Rate limiter is also there. And then if we go over here to the controller, or to be precise in the request, we are using the ID to find the user. Once we get the user, we are using on this user. If you use the get key, it will give the primary key. So in other words, the value of the ID. So it will check the hash for the ID. compared to the one that is in the root. So we will get that, and if it's false, so that means ID and the user didn't match. So this actually is an unnecessary step. We can just get rid of this because we are already getting the user. So it's exactly saying like this is in the user unless we are passing it through here. So this is a valid state if we are checking for this user. Otherwise it's not needed because it's already there. So what I'll do is I'll just keep it here for now. And this one is making sure that the email, so this will give you the email of the user, is matching with the hashed email. So if these two matches, perfect. If it doesn't, we deny it. And finally we log in the user, proceed forward. And if we go here, now in the request user, we will have the actual user because we have logged in the user here temporarily. So we'll get the user. If it's all good, if they have already verified, we will send it to our front end. Whatever the URL is, we'll keep it in the app.frontend URL. Otherwise, we'll verify the user and we will just send them back to our front end. So now what we need to do is we need to try the registration route. So if we go back over here, I'll try with different email, just add +1 over there. And now I'll send this. So this should register the user. There you go. And here in the Mailtrap, I should receive an email. Now let's see first in the database, what do we get? So in the database, we have the user with email verified as blank. That's great. If I click this link, you will see it took me to the front end, all good. So if I refresh this and the email is verified, perfect. So our email verification is in place. And now we can proceed with our other APIs like project creation, deletion, like CRUD API for project, CRUD API for board and tickets. To save some time, I have defined some relationships behind the scene for each model. So I'll just explain you what they are and why do we need these relationships. Now we are using a relational database like MySQL. So here we will have the relationship like each board belongs to a project. We have the foreign key here. Also like for projects, we have the user ID, so it belongs to a user and so on. So when we have to manage these relationships or we need to get the data in relationship in a relational model with respect to the other, Laravel provides these relationship rules, and they're out of the box. They give you the collections data in a collection way. Under the hood, it uses join, and then it also uses collections to give you the data as a JSON so that you don't have those duplicates or you don't need to manage, because with joins you might get duplicate data with different values here and there, but in Laravel it's just collected under one JSON. So that's very beautiful with these relationships. Now what we need to do is we need to go to those models where we want to define the relationship. For instance, each user has projects, so they might have multiple projects. So here we have the has many relationships. So here we pass the model, and the second parameter is the primary key and the foreign key respectively. So if we see over here, so has many, and then if you have a different, foreign key and the primary key, the other way around, sorry for that. So the second parameter is the foreign key and then the primary key. Now, if you have different values, column values for the primary key or foreign key, let's say instead of project ID, you're calling it, let's say PID or something like that, then you need to pass those things over here. But if your foreign key is following the typical Laravel rules where the foreign key is a singular of the table _ID, that's great. It will automatically pick it up. Now we go back to the project. Here we have, it belongs to a user. So we can also have one-to-many inverse. So it belongs to, then we got the boards. Here we have one-to-many again. So each project will have many boards. Same logic, the model that is at the end, because here we have, so if you're new to this relational database things like one-to-many, one-to-one and all those things, if we see the board table over here, we have the project ID over here. So that means every board has a reference to a project. So this means every project will have multiple boards. Same for the projects. Every project has a reference to a user. So every user will have multiple projects. So in the same way, here we have one-to-many relationships. So every project will have multiple boards. If we go to boards, every board has multiple tickets. So we have that one-to-many again. And also if you notice, I have has UUID trait on each of these because we are using UUID as a primary key. if we go to the ticket part over here, we have every ticket belongs to a board. Every ticket is created by a creator. We haven't added this thing, so we'll add that in a moment. And here we have many to many. So in this case, we'll be using the pivot table. So here I'm saying that it belongs to many. So I'm calling it members. So every ticket is assigned to multiple members. You can call it team, however, whatever you like. So here we will say belongs to many. Then here we have the model, which is part of that many to many relationship. Then the pivot table, then the foreign key reference to the ticket, so ticket ID, and the foreign key reference to the user, so user ID. Perfect. Now let's add this additional column. So we go to terminal, we say PHP artisan make migration, and here we want to add it on the ticket table. So I'm just gonna call it table ticket additional calls v1, and we might have like multiple versions of additional columns. So I'll just call it v1. Refers to the table tickets. There you go. It will create a migration over here, and we can add that additional column. We will say dollar table foreign UUID. I'm gonna say creator ID, and here I'm gonna say cascade on delete. I'm just gonna say I'm just gonna follow this logic over here. So constraint and cascade on delete over here. Perfect. So now we can just run the migration. PHP artisan migrate. Something went wrong. It says table creators. Oh, sorry, we need to put this constraint on users. We need to provide a table name because here we are using the different columns, so constraints on users. And here, if you see, it needs a table and the column. So the column is ID. Perfect. Let's try again. It might throw duplicate column, creator ID. So I need to do my fresh migration. Perfect. I will also, the registration is already done. So what I'll do, no, it was done actually. So I need to register again. There you go. And also touch this, verify email. Perfect. So we have the user now there. Perfect. So this is set. So first I will start with project. So route get projects. This will go to project controller. I could create a resource route. So if you haven't checked that, I have covered that in one of my Sanctum tutorials. So the resource route will just create these mapping routes automatically, but I'll just create them here individually. So project controller, and this will go to index method. Then we will have one for creating a project that will go to the store method. We will have a method to get the project, and also we will have the method to update the project. Perfect. Same for the tickets. Oh, board first. So get project, and then we will have the project, and then we will have, oh sorry, boards. So we'll go to board controller. Then we will have route to create a board. Then we will have a route to get a board. We will have route to update a board. Copilot is sometimes very useful. Then now we can do the same thing like project, board ticket, something like that. But here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, now when I'm getting the board over here, I'm also getting the tickets because I'll be using eager loading for that. So I don't need to create a separate route to get tickets. However, I need to create a separate route to create a ticket. So board ticket, this will go to ticket controller, a separate route to get the individual ticket, and the route to update the ticket. Also, I'll need each route to delete that board. We'll need a route to delete the ticket. Actually, I was just thinking, like, am I adding too much of complexity by adding this suffix? Because maybe, I think so, I'm doing that. So what I can do is I just keep boards. Nice. So now let's start with the project controller. So here I'm also going to create the form request so that I can validate my data. So PHP artisan make request. Oh, I'm going to call it project create request, and also project update request, and also I will create the project resource. So project resource, so this will be more right when we are sending our data back. So project resource, perfect. So now here I'm going to say public function index, get the request, $request, and I just need to send all the projects. So here, instead of sending it like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say project resource collection and send the project. Now this project resource over here is something like this. I'm going to say the ID is ID, title is this.title, and I may not need to send the boards straight away, but I could say like how many members are there, or so that's the different thing. But for now I'm just gonna say like this is the project, this is the title, simple. Next here I'm gonna have public function, or actually what I could do, I could send here something like this, boards, and I'm gonna say function just send this, or there is something like this when loaded boards. So if I'm asking for boards in the relationship, let's say if I say with boards or something like that, then only send boards, otherwise don't send it. And here I'm gonna import, this class is not there, so I'm gonna create a resource, make resource, I'm gonna call it board resource. I'm just gonna create the ticket resource as I'm here, ticket resource, perfect. Now I'm gonna go to, I'm just gonna get this first, go to here, and I'm gonna do the same thing. So each board will have the ID, it will have the title. Let me see what's the schema for the board. So if I go to boards over here, title and project ID. Okay, I will also have created at, and here also I will have created and updated at, or maybe just created at, and I can cast this created at into a user readable thing. Like how do they have it over here? They have a date time, so I think they do have something for human readable thing. We'll see it in a moment, but if not, we can just on the front end use a moment or day.js and convert it. Right, so created at, great. And then we have public function store, we have project request, create request, $request, request request. Okay, let's go to this one. I'm gonna say you need to have the authenticated users. I'm gonna say this user, and you can also add the rules like can create and all those things, but I won't go in that detail by adding rules. I'll just keep it very simple. You can always use Spashy's package or something like that to create those policies. So here I'm just going to keep it very simple. I'm just going to say this user, if it's there, great. And here the validation would be title, this is required, max is 3 characters, and this is a simple string. For the project update request, I'm gonna get that ID in the route, so I don't need to do anything, but I can just need to add the same thing, title and etc, etc, etc. Let's go over here. Now I'm going to say $data equal to request validated, and then I'm going to say $project equal to whoever is the user. For that, there are multiple projects, create the one project. So this is very similar to project create, and then I'm passing the data and as well as the user ID like this. So this is fine. I can just do it in one line, and then I'm going to return new project resource, the project details. Perfect. Then I'm going to have public function show. Here I will be having the project, so this one over here. So I'm going to get the project. Just gonna close this for a moment. Go here. I'm going to say project $project. Now here I'm gonna lazy load that project. So first I'm gonna import this model, and I'm gonna say $project load all the boards. So this is lazy loading, so I'm asking to load the boards, and then I'm gonna return the project with all the boards and the tickets associated with it. So here I need to do something like this. So boards as well as boards.tickets. Perfect. Then public function, and we will need the update. So I will have the project $project. Now the thing is, if you pass this as a ID, because this is a URL route parameter, or the parameter passed in the URL, this route parameter. So this is going to be a simple ID, and once we take it over here, if we make it of a type of Laravel ORM model project or any ORM model, it will automatically use this key, whatever the value is. Look in the ID column, because that's the primary key. It knows that ID column is the primary key, and get the project and then assign that to this project variable. So it is going to do all that thing for us, like making the database query to get the project. Here I'm going to update the project, and I will have the project. I think I could have done the create request, because yeah, I could have done the create request. I don't really need the update request because I'm just updating the title for now. So here it's very similar, so I can just remove the update request. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the data. I'm going to make sure that the project, if $project's user ID is not equivalent to the user ID, then just abort it. Otherwise, continue. I can do this in one line using abort if, and just put this over here. Abort if code and the message. Something like this. I'm gonna say you are not allowed to update this project. Something like that. Perfect. Otherwise, update the project and just send the project back again. Perfect. Right. Now next is to delete the project. So public function destroy. So we'll get a project, $project. I will have the request. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to abort it if the project ID is not by the same user, because we need to make sure only the admin or the creator can delete it. Of course, you can remove this rule if you want the team members to update it, but for now, I'll just keep it something like this. Then you're not allowed to delete this project. We delete the project, and at the end, we just send the simple JSON response. JSON message project deleted successfully, and there we go. Perfect. So we have our project routes ready. Now also let's work on the ticket route. Sorry, the board route. So let's go to the board one over here. So we have public function index, we'll have request, $request. And here we just need to get all the boards. We'll also have the project. So what I'm going to do is, in this case, I'll have the project and the project ID. So I'm just going to say string $project. And all I'm going to do is also, or I can just get, no, just let's do this. So I'm going to say boards. Oh, sorry, what I'm doing. Sorry. Board. I think I don't need this route really, because I could use this one over here. When I get the project details, I'm getting the boards and the tickets associated with it. So most probably this is like a duplicate thing. So I'll just comment this part. So I'll just comment this. If needed in the future, we can add it. So I'll just go straight to the adding a new board. So public function store board create request. We'll create this class. So make request board create request. No, I think I misspelled it, but we can just edit it here. So I'm just gonna call it over here, create request. This will be create request. Perfect. Now here I need to make sure that this, or I can just say true for now. And here I will have the title required string, and this is of max 255 characters. Also, I need to make sure that this has a project ID that's required, and I need to make sure that this is a UUID. And the other thing I need to make sure that it not just exists in the project, but it exists, or actually what I could do is I could do something like the rule exists. So it's a little bit complicated. So here I could do rule, and that comes from, I think, not the validation. Oh no, validation here. Let's import this. Then exists on the projects table, and the column is ID, and then we got where clause, where, and then I could say either a function, or we can pass a function actually. So function, that's going to be the query, and I'm just going to say user ID belongs to this user ID. Let's make this on a new line so it's readable. So the project belongs to the creator. So here also I'm making sure that the only creator can create a board. If you can remove this rule if you like, if you want, like anyone can create, so that's fine as well, but it's just an extra rule. But again, if you, then in that case you need to use teams and make sure that this board belongs to, or the member belongs to that project team, something like that. Okay, so we get the project ID, and what else we need for the board? I think that's all we need for the board. Yeah, perfect. So that's done. Let's go over here. We got the board create request, get the class, get this. Here we haven't added anything, so we say tickets, this when loaded tickets, and the function is ticket resource. I think this is all good. Ticket resource, here we just need to add few bits. I'm going to say ID is ID, title is title, description is description. We also need additional column like status, expired, and all those things. So, but for now I'm just going to say creator. Just going to say when the creator is asked, we'll just get the user resource, or we can just say over here like new user resource, this when loaded. I think this is something, let me just double check. I'm doing something wrong with loaded method maybe used over here. See, I was doing something wrong because we need to use the other way around. Okay. So going back to the project resource, it should be like this. When loaded, posts. So in this case, it's gonna be this when loaded. I knew I was doing something wrong here. Sorry for that. There you go. Perfect. Collection, and this is closed, right? Also need to do the same thing for, I think, projects. No, this was for projects here. So ticket collection. Here I'm gonna have this when loaded, tickets. Perfect. Ticket resource, user resource, we'll need to get that. So PHP artisan make resource, user resource, import the class, and here simply we're gonna send their ID and name and email. It's perfect. All set. Let's close these resources for now. Board controller, we are sending the details of the board, or sorry, we're storing the board. That's great. Public function, update board. I think that's our next route. So here we are getting the board, not really needed again. This one is additional. We'll uncomment this if needed. Then we are having to update and delete. So update, so we'll get the board, $board. We get the board create request, $request, and here we just make sure, let's get that board as well. We just say $board update, and we just send the validated data. Now one problem here will be that if we go over here, if we change the project ID, it again, it won't be a problem unless it's some other project, like we're transferring to other project and that board was, let's say, created by some other user. Sorry, that project was created by other user, but in that case we just need to modify this in one way or the other. That's fine. So here, I think it shouldn't be a problem again. So here, return board resource. Perfect. Then I will go to destroying the board. So in this case, I'm just going to make sure that the board. So here I just need to get the board load project. I think I need to add that relationship. Public function project belongs to a project. This has belongs to. Perfect. So belongs to a project. Go back over here, load the project, and here I'm going to say board project user ID. If it doesn't matches, delete it. Sorry, abort it. Otherwise delete it, and board deleted successfully. Perfect. Now next is the ticket controller, which is this one over here. So ticket create request, make request, ticket create. Okay, perfect. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say public. Do I need to get all the tickets? No, I just need to get one ticket. Update the ticket or delete the ticket. So post public function store ticket create request. Isn't it created? Sorry. Ticket create request. This one. I'll delete the other one. $request. I misspelled it. Sorry for that. And then I'll just go over here in the create this. I don't need it, I'll relate it here. Just authorize it for now. I will have the rules, so I will need the title of the ticket. That should be required. Then description, it's nullable, but I think we are asking for description as well, so I'll just keep it required. And this is max, maybe 3000 characters or 2000 characters, don't know, something like this. Then we will have the board ID required, and this is UUID, and this exists with boards on the column ID. Perfect. So we got what we need, I guess. Creator ID would be just who created it, and here the request validated, so user, and here I'm gonna say $ticket create data. Ticket created successfully. Rather than that, I'm just gonna send the resource, new ticket resource. Perfect. Let's go forward. Public function show. So I'll get the ticket. I'll just pass that ticket back again, like simple, super simple. Then here I can also pass the people that are assigned to. So here I'm going to say, so I need to go to ticket resource for a moment. Here I need to say this when loaded. I will also have members, and this would be, it's going to be a collection of users when asked. So here I'm going to say, now I can do something like this string. I'm going to say $ticket with creator and members, find or fail, whatever the IDs, because this is the simple ID. So if we can find it, great. If it doesn't, it will just say ticket not found or something like that, or just throw 404 error. So we can pass this the individual ticket, then public function, we say update the ticket. So ticket $ticket, we say ticket create request, $request. Here we just update the ticket and send back the validated ticket. Function destroy whatever the ticket is, and we just delete that ticket. Simple. Now we will need one API route to assign the tickets or sync the tickets. So I'm going to say route post ticket and then ticket and then assign, and here I'm going to say ticket controller assign function. So here I'm going to go and say public function assign. Now we'll create just the validation straight in the controller. So first I will need the ticket and request. Now first what I'm going to do is, so from the front end I'm going to send the list of user IDs. If the members exists, then they will be there as it is. If the members doesn't exist, they will be removed. So we can use the sync function. So it will but in this case we just need to make sure that whosoever are the members, they should be in that array. If they are not in that array, they will be removed from that ticket. Simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say ticket. First I'm going to validate it. So I'm going to say data equal to $request validate. I'm going to have the users I'm going to say it's an array. I could use email, or I could use just the ID sending the, or actually what I'm just going to make the validation for array first. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the users. I'm going to say user wherein I'm going to use the email, actually that would be easier. I'm going to say $data users. Okay, now if some emails, they are not registered, we need to send them maybe a registration link, like saying that, hey, come it over here, like just come here and register. Or we need to have a logic where we just say, okay, this email doesn't exist, so we cannot add them to the ticket, something like that. So here we can write a logic. This is more an optional step, or more like additional thing. Like if you guys want, you can do it. Here all you need to do is just so first is I can just select not everything. I just need ID and email, and here get. So here you can have a logic to send email to those users who are not signed up. So here you can send the email verification, sorry, you can send the email link, and otherwise what we will do is we'll say ticket members, and then we will just say sync with the relationship using the pivot table, and from the users, because this is going to be the collection, this users is going to be a collection, I'm going to pluck, and then I'm just going to return the ticket. Perfect. Right, so I think we have good number of things over here. Let's test these routes one by one. Let's start testing with the project routes. So I've just created the project routes over here. So we have the get request for getting all projects, create, update, delete, and getting one single project. So first I'm going to get the token that I've got from the register, save it in the variable so I don't have to pass this token every time. Check this, go to project serialization, and just need to say API, what's the variable called? Let me just save this first. API underscore token, this one. Same for this, unauthenticated. Okay, let's see. So, oh, I didn't save this. Okay, so let's see why we are getting this unauthenticated. Yes, because in here I have this extra character. Okay, so let's go again. Project create request, authorize return must be of type boolean. Oh, sorry. So project create request. Here I'm just gonna say true for now. This is not needed actually, because our Sanctum is already doing that authentication. So title field must be required. What did I pass here? So title must be required, must not be greater than, oh sorry, I think I did the wrong one. I should say here minimum 3 characters. Field description doesn't have a default value. Projects, I do, sorry, I just need the description for the project. Is it for the board as well? No. Okay, so let's add the description in the create request. Description minimum 3. Description field is required, and just pass the description here. Description, this is for marketing team. Send as, perfect, we got the project. Let's use this UUID, copy this, and let's go over here to get that. So first get the projects, we get all the projects, go to single project, paste the UUID, we get the single project. We haven't got the boards because we didn't ask for it. Oh sorry, we don't have the boards here, sorry. We did ask for it, but we don't have any boards. Let's update the project. So here I'm just gonna go to body, and this is our Let's go to the create part. Let's copy this from here to the update. I'm gonna say marketing team. Update the project. So marketing team, create. Now let's delete the project. So I'll just create a new project. So marketing, actual marketing. So this is our new project. Let's just double check we have this project. So marketing team, marketing, great. Now here we just need to delete it. Perfect, project deleted successfully. If we do the get request, we just have the marketing team. Sorry, get all projects. We should have just one project. Perfect, great. So our project routes are working. Now let's try the board route. So here we have the board, project ID, doing, send, boards on users. Why do I call it on users? Let's see. So if we go to board controller, oh sorry, it shouldn't be on user, it should be on the project. So here I need to do board create, and I think within this I have the project ID, so it will automatically create correctly. Okay, create title to the fillable. Sorry, so we need to go to board over here and say protected $guarded. Just want all the fields to be fillable, so I'll just pass the empty guarded array. Same for this, send it. Perfect, so we got the board. Let's pass another one. So we'll just need, let's pass the other one. We'll say testing and done, something like this. Now when we ask for the project over here, let's see, get project, we should see doing, testing, done. Perfect. Now we'll just pick one of the board. Let's say this one over here. We'll go to update the board, pass the UUID, and here I'm just gonna say doing will be, sorry, this will be did it, something like that. Send project ID field is required. Yes, we need the project ID field here, so we just use this project ID. I'm gonna say project ID because we're using the create request, so it's needed. Okay, so did it. Now if we go for the project, get all the projects, so you get a specific project, we will have it did it. Finally deleting the project, sorry, board. So I'll delete the did board. So that was this one over here, pass it over here, send it, board deleted successfully. Now if we go back to the project, we shouldn't have that did it. Perfect. Now let's test the tickets API. Okay, so let's start by creating a ticket. Now one thing I have noticed is that within the ticket controller, when we are creating the ticket, we are not assigning that to the creator. So here I could do something like this. I'm gonna say use the spread operator data, and I'm gonna say creator ID will be $request users ID. Perfect. So we create a ticket. The selected board ID is invalid. I think I passed the wrong board ID. So if I go to projects, get all projects, and here let's use this one, the doing board ID. Then go to ticket, pass this over here, send. Rank does not have a default value. Oh, we'll also need to pass the rank, so we'll need this to be 1. So let's go over here, I think in ticket create request I will need rank integer. Perfect. And also in the ticket resource I need to pass the rank, ticket resource rank is this one. Now also let's add another one, create article, proofread it, send it. Okay, so we got this one, so both have 1 rank, that's fine. And also we need to pass created at, and we'll need that created at, updated at. Perfect. And all we have to do is here we need to order these tickets by their rank. So whenever we are getting the ticket over here, board model, and when I have tickets, I could say order by rank. That will be, yeah, ascending rank. So it will be by default ascending. Perfect. Now if I go for the project over here, get project, I will have doing, I will have rank 1 great article, proofread it. Okay, great. Next we have, so they created the ticket, then we update the ticket. Now I want to change this ticket's ID, we will need it, proofread it, we can update it. So put, so this is the ticket ID, I want to update that, so that will go to different board. So what I'm gonna do is keep all of this, the ticket values. So so where is that? So get project, I want to send it to the other board, to the testing one. So that goes, I think, to the testing one. Let's see. So if we now get the project, we have board over here, so we got created, and then to the testing one. Perfect. Then also we want to assign the ticket first. So here I'm gonna send users. That's gonna be an array. So Aditya +1 @ts.com. Perfect. Let's see. No query result. Sorry, I didn't pass the UID of the ticket here. So the latest ticket that we just created, I think not this one, the one we updated, this one over here, assign ticket, this one here, and send it. ID does not have a default value, user ID values. Oh, okay, wait. I think the problem is because in our table over here, so if I go to ticket user, I think this ID column is unnecessary. Okay, let's remove this column. This is not needed. So I'll go to alter table, then drop this column, delete selected, and this should be fine. And also I need to make these changes in my database migration. User ticket, just remove this. This is not needed. Perfect. So let's try again. Okay, so I think it has assigned it. Let's try to see what it did. So if we go back here, ticket user, select rows. Okay, great, it has something. Now next we have getting the ticket, send, get method is not supported on, and to remove this assign from here. Perfect. So there you go, creator, the members. Perfect. I think this all APIs are working good. Great. So suffice to say that our backend is somewhat ready. We might need to touch again, but now let's work on the front end. Now let's start the Nuxt side. So here we go to nuxt.com. The documentation is pretty well written, and before you begin, you also need to make sure that you have the latest version of Node.js installed. This is a must, otherwise we cannot proceed forward. So once we have the latest version of Node.js installed, we can copy this command, from here, paste it over here, change the project name to, I'll call it project app. Now this will ask me some questions. I want to use npm. You can use anything you like, pnpm yarn bun. Right, now it is asking me the question, initialize Git repository. I would say yes. So here I'm going to select yes. And now we will go to cd project app, then open it with VS Code. And then we should have our project here. Perfect. So if you haven't checked my Nuxt videos, in that I have explained each directory, what it means. So I won't go in depth again, but I'll just give you the overview of what it is. So in this case, we'll start with the app.view. That's our main, you could say, view component or Nuxt file. That is kind of like the soul of our app. Everything is going to come over here. We need to bring it over here. So then we go with the server folder. Here we write the backend logic. Now Nuxt is a full stack framework with Vue on the front end. So it provides here functionality where you can write the API routes. So that will come in the server folder. Then we will have the pages folder where we will have our pages. And then the Nuxt folder is just a compiled folder, node modules for putting the all install packages. Then we got the public folder for keeping our public assets. Then we got our nuxtconfig.ts. So it's basic configuration file, and the other details like the package.json to keep the packages that we are using, and also tsconfig for the config file. Now going back to the Nuxt config, here you can write your configurations, like additional configurations, or you could say the env variables, whatever you want to write. So here I'm going to add the first one. I'm going to add it in the runtime config. So runtime config can be useful if you want to get access to the variables during the execution of the code, or you can treat it more like I won't say exactly a .env file, but an alternate to .env. Now here I will need the API URL. So that would be it would be http localhost :8000. And also we will need something like public. So anything in public that can be accessed by the front-end JavaScript or a client-side JavaScript. Anything not in public, that will only be accessed by the server. So here we will put the API URL as well. So now we got, let's put underscore so that it's readable. Yeah, perfect. That's great. Now these two are there. Now next we will need is a page. So here I'm going to add a page. I'm going to call it index.view. This work based on the file based routing. So whatever is the file name, that's the root. So if I call it index.view, that would be root route. If I add, let's say, about.view, that would be about route. So example.com/about. Now here I'm going to use a basic setup. I'll use simple JavaScript. I won't go in TypeScript. So here I will add the simple setup. So here I will just say this is my page, and then in the app.view, instead of Nuxt welcome, I have to say Nuxt page. So it will automatically put that page over there. Now let's run this. So here I'm going to say npm run dev, and that should open on this file over here. So we'll see the Tailwind UI as well. So localhost 3000, and there we have it, our page. Now they also come with dev tools, which are very useful in debugging our components and all other things. So if we see get started, you will see they got various features over here which could be used. Now this is great. Let's add Tailwind CSS to this. So we go to tailwindcss.com. There we go to the Nuxt framework guides Nuxt folder. So here we go. Then we just need to follow these processes, or steps. So let's copy this. Let's stop the server for a moment. Put this over here. Then we will also need to add this line after that's done. Then we need to add this in our config file. Also make sure that this is, you can also using Nuxt modules, so that's a little bit easier. But if you want more like a standard installation, you can go with this process. So here, nuxtconfig.ts, we add our config files with a comma, perfect. And also we will need to add these things inside our tailwind config.js over here. So inside the content, perfect. Then what else we need? We need to add these in our assets css main.css. So here I'm going to create a new file, assets css main.css, add this 3 lines over there, and finally add this line inside our Nuxt config.ts. Where is that? Over here. So that will come over here. Perfect. And now if we just run this, we should have our Tailwind CSS Nuxt project. npm run dev. Best way to see it, if you see the font, it was kind of Times New Roman. Now it's, you see like all the default styling has gone. So Tailwind CSS is integrated. Perfect. Now let's start beautifying our page. So I will have a sign up page, sign in page, good titles over here, and also we'll add things step by step. But before that, let's create the composables. So here in the Nuxt framework, the good thing is like everything is auto imported if you follow the right structure. Now the right structure is given in the documentation. We will touch on most of those. So as long as you follow the structure, everything is auto imported. So here I'm going to create a new file under the composables folder, composables, and I'm going to call it use Axios dot. Let's see axios.ts, or sorry, JS. Now if I export a composable here, let's say export default function use Axios, it will automatically export that. Okay, so import it. So anywhere I want to use it, let's say in this folder, I would say use Axios, something like that. Let's install Axios. So here I'm going to say npm I Axios. Let's run this again. Now here I'm going to say import Axios from Axios, and then I'm going to say let API equal to axios.create, and here I will have base URL. That would be, we can use the runtime config here, so const rt config equal to use runtime. These are all auto imported composables. This is built-in composable which will give access to this runtime configs. So from there I want to use, now this will be more on the client side, so here I will be using rt-config dot public dot API URL. Perfect. Then I will have headers. Here I will have content type will be application JSON, accept application JSON. We also need to make sure that with credentials true and with XSRF token true. So it will automatically add that credentials and XSRF token. Now here I'm going to say public, I'm going in PHP. So I'll return this API. Perfect. Now this is for the API. Now we will also need to access the token. Now I'll be storing it in a server-side cookie, or if you want to keep that token in a session storage, that's fine as well. We can keep it in the session storage and we can pass it over here. Like we can do something like this, or local storage, like let's say authorization, something like this, local storage dot get item token, something like that. But in this case, we need to keep that token in the local storage. So this is one way to deal with this. The other way is to somehow pass the token here. So we need to make a server-side request and make it a little bit secure. So this is our use Axios, and now we will use this to make certain front-end requests. Now let's add the SEO component, generally known as meta component. You can use SEO or use head to manage these head tags. I'll be using simple component structure. So here inside the Nuxt project, if we create another folder, components, now everything again here auto imported. If I say meta tags dot view, here I would be using simple setup script. This will take the head component, and within this I will have title component to put the title. I'll define the props in a moment, or we can define it. So define props. So title is string, title is string, and then we got description is string as well. Then we got any image URL, that's string as well. URL is string as well. I think this should be fine. Meta name description. Sorry, why is it going in a React context? So this is view context like this. So description, then we got property OG title, then we got description again for the OG title, image, URL, type, Twitter card, Twitter title, description, Twitter image. I think this should be enough. What we need to do is, in case if this image and URL is not defined, I'm gonna just give it like default will be favicon image. So that would be over here in the public, so /favicon.ico, and URL would be type string. Default would be localhost colon 3000. You can change this URL if you like, so it's just the default values. Now let's go to index page. Let's bring that component over here. So I'm going to call this as meta tags there. No need to import it because it's auto imported for us. So title is this. Let's call this as a sign in page. Then description is sign into your account. And if we go back over here, I think this meta tags here, something is wrong. It should be double of these, not single, like this. Perfect. And there we have it, sign in, and there you go. Perfect. So that's for our meta tags. Now let's add our sign in form. So I will be using this Tailwind UI components. They're very useful. It's simple. So let's use this. So copy the code, then take into the components. I'm going to call it auth form dot view. Paste that code over here. Now I'll make a lot of changes in this. The first thing is I like to refactor the components. So this will become more like an atomic principle kind of thing. So I'm going to take all this from here, all this from here, put it in the separate components, and then go from there. So first I have created these components within the form folder. So input, label, and view. So let's take the label component first. So this is much easier. So here I'm going to grab it from there and set up script, get the label component here. This is going to be a slot. So slot like this, then this would be vbind $attrs. So we can add whatever attributes you want to add on this. Don't need any of these, and any additional classes that we add will come over here. Find props script setup, and here we will need define props just in case we add any additional class. Just keep it like this. So type is string, default is nothing. Great. Let's go for the input. So the next one is the input. Let's copy this input from here. Let's go to input, vbase, setup script, the input here, same logic. Everything from here will go. We will have vbind attrs, $attrs, like this. Then additional class, whatever it is, will come over here. Class will be class. Oh, yeah. So we can do here define props, classes of type string. Then what else? Now here I just need to add some padding. So here it says py. I'm going to say p of 1.5. I'm going to keep the basic default styling as it is. And now I'm going to use the define model. So const model define model. So this will allow me to use vmodel on the component. So vmodel model, something like this. Perfect. Now that is our input. Now let's take the form group. So form group is combination of input and label. So here, setup script, bring this over here. Here I will have vbind $attributes. Now here I will have the label component. So form label. No need to import it because it's already imported for us. Here we will just need to complete this label. Then here we will have for, we will add these all in the props. So for now I'll just add it here for. Then here I will have label, and this can go from here. This will be label for, so label for, and then we just need to add this over here, label for, and that would be for label for, something like this. Perfect. So that's there. Everything good here in the label component. Seems like that. This is good. Great. Now let's go back to group. So here label for, that's great. Now next we will need, let's remove the style from here. Then we will need, what else? Label is there. Then we will need to just substitute the input here. So input, form input. This would be, we need, let's define props here. Define props. We will have label, that's gonna be string. We will have name for the input, that's gonna be string again. We will have type, that's gonna be string again. What do we have? Required, that's gonna be boolean. Then we will have placeholder, that's gonna be string. Autocomplete, that's gonna be string. And we can add input classes. If we need additional input class, that's gonna be string as well. And label class if we need additional label class. So that will go here as class, label class. This all will go from here. We will have input class. This can come here. This will be form input. This can go from here. This will be ID is not needed. We can remove the ID. So name will be name 2, 3, 4. Bind them all. Anything else? Placeholder is missing. So placeholder will be placeholder. This can go from here. Perfect. Now same thing, define model. So we can use vModel on the form group. So define model, and here we assign that model like this. vModel. Model. Perfect. This is very important, define model. If you haven't seen my video on this, definitely check the video on this. Under the hood, it's just going to create the props and emits for us for managing the input on the components. Perfect. We can also add the error message. So error message, type of string, and default is blank. So here I can go and add the error message. I could say span, or P actually, P tag, error message if there is an error message. Perfect. Let's go back over here. Now let's substitute this with our form group. So here I'm going to say form group, label is email address, name is email, type autocomplete required, and label for is label for, I think it should be there, label for, I haven't added label for. Let's add that. Label for, it's a string. So label for is email, matching to the name. Perfect. So this is our first form group. Let's remove this from here. Then we got the second form group with password. So this is a little bit tricky because you got the forget password just under it and then the input. So it's a little bit complicated to, I won't say complicated, but a little bit different than normal. What could be done is if we go over here, we can add the placeholders for the form group. So we can add the values like these. So one way to deal with it is, let's see. So we got the label. Then in the label, we can add the context, or we can just treat it as a password input and make it more like making sure it's with an eye icon and everything. So it totally depends how you want to handle it. I'm going to keep it a little bit simple in this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say form group and type password, label for password, autocomplete current password, all good. The only thing I'm going to make different here is this one. I'm going to add it after the form group like this. Even though I'm not going to work on forget password, we do have the URL for that, so that's not a problem. I'm just going to give some styling here. And let me see, is it at the right side? Forget password. Yeah, it is. Justify between. So on the right side. So here I'm going to say text end. Let's remove all of this from here. Let's remove this from here. Little bit different form, I would say, not exactly the same what we are looking for. So we reload this. Auth form is not brought in here, so let's bring the auth form. So auth form, auth form, no need to import it. I'm not sure why it is auto import, like importing it for me. So build components, fail to resolve import. Okay, okay, let's see what's wrong in this. Okay, it was just imported here, so I just need to remove it. That's just to be careful that it's not auto imported everywhere. So there it is, our auth form, forget password, sign in. Now let's also add the text for the, let's create a button component as well, reusable button component. So let's take this from here, components, new file, button.view, vbase, this, add a slot here, like this, perfect. Now here also I can make it something like this, like vbind $attributes, and I can make it as a variant. So here I will have defined props variant, and that would be type string, and the validator function prop, that validator function is prop, includes primary, secondary, bordered, danger, ghost, dark, all those things. Let's keep it simple for now, and success. All these things could be avoided, like most of these things could be made easier using other libraries or UI component libraries, but we will just do it behind the scene, like we'll just do by ourselves. So here I will have a layout class that would be our buttons default layout. I'm going to say apply, and just copy all this code from here actually and keep it over here. Now what I'm going to do is, so layout will have width full, justify center, coloring is not there, I just need the layout. So pxpy, text sm, font bold, leading, text white, no, text white also won't be there. Then we have hover won't be there, focus will be there, all the coloring thing we can remove it, we just need the base class. So that's our layout. Then we will have primary class, that would be our this button. So pg indigo, text white, on hover it becomes 600, and the outline color is something like that. So this is our primary color. We can also add the transition class. So here I'm going to say ease in out, duration 150, and transition all. Perfect. Then we have the secondary class. So I'll just add those class and then we'll go to that part. So there we have it, our button component with the variant classes. The base class is here and the variant added after that. And then in the auth form, we have the button here. Perfect. These things, I'll just keep it, or I'll just remove it actually. There you go. This is our sign-in form. Now we can also make this a little bit easier. Let's add this as a heading component. So here I'm going to go new file, heading.view. Just going to take this from here. Heading, vbase, setup. Now generally what I like to do is whatever the component is, like I can add something like, I'll tell you what do I mean, define props. I will have as, and that's going to be string, and, or sorry, let's do this, type string, and validator function just to avoid these things. So it will be between h1 to h6. Then I will have a stylings here. So dot h1 is text for Excel, font bold, and these things. So these will be there actually, so I don't need to remove these things from here. Okay, then h2 will be a little bit smaller than that. Then this, and this. Perfect. So here I will make component is will be as class. So these will be base classes there, or make a backtick, something like this. So these are our base class, then as, and all these goes over here. Then I can do something like this: heading here, sign into your account, and I would say as h2. Go back over here. Perfect, everything is there. What if I do h6? Will the font reduce? Perfect, all good, great. So we have the reusable components and we got good structure now here. Now let's make this auth form also reusable. So what I want is, just need to make sure that if it's a sign-in form, then sign in. If it's a sign-off form, then sign up, something like that. So here I will have defined props. First we'll need script, setup script. Now here I need to store it in a variable, so const props, define props. All right, so I have added few things here. So first, the span tag with conditional rendering. So sign into your account if the form type is sign in, otherwise create a new account. This is additional input group or form group, you could say, of type text to take in the full name. If it's form type of sign up, then this. Here also forget password, only show it if it's not a sign in form. Sorry, show it for the sign in form. If it's not a sign in form, don't show it. Same for the button. If it's a sign in form, then sign in, sign up, and then the props over here. Okay, let's see what we get. Perfect. Forget password is missing. I think we need to do here props.form type not equal to sign in. So currently it is sign in. Wait, why is it not there then? Sorry, it should be equal to sign in. There you go. Perfect. Good. Great. Now let's process the functionalities. So here we will create a hook again. Sorry, composable use auth.js. Export default function use auth. Now here I will have function to login, function to log out, function to sign in, register or sign up, return all these things along with the error bag. So I'm going to say const error bag. I'm going to use state, so that this, I'm going to call it, I think for the use state, the first value is the key and then the function. So here I'm going to call it auth error bag, and then this is going to return me object with email is blank, password is blank, name is blank. We'll also need password confirmation. So password confirmation, we will add that as well over here. Where is it? This one over here. Password confirmation and password required label confirm password. This will be for sign up. So what I'm going to do is just going to show this if this is sign up, otherwise I'm going to show this else. Great, nice. Then we go back to use auth, and we also need to create a sign up page. So here we can then test it. So sign up.view, copy all this from here, just paste it over here and make this sign up, make this sign up, make this form type of sign up. Perfect. Sign up. There you go. First name, full name. These two are a little bit closer, so we can give them a little space between this one. So here I will add an additional class. Just gonna say little gap, like maybe my of 2. Yeah, this looks good. And yeah, this is our sign up form. So let's We can also add a link here to sign in and so on. So we can grab it from the Tailwind UI, that just over here. Now here I'm gonna put this one span tag, put this if form type equal to sign up, then show this. This will be our Nuxt link component. This will be 2, and this will go to sign up. Just a random text. You can change the text however you like. Otherwise, this will be if, so we are on a sign up form, we shouldn't see this, so this should be not equal to sign up. Already a member, this sign up here, sorry, sign in here, log in to your account, perfect. Actually, something is wrong. Next link, why is it auto importing for me? I don't know at all. Like, sorry, it should auto import me, I'm not sure why it's adding this line. It's unnecessary. So log into your account. Great, perfect, nice. Let's move from here. Now let's start by adding a state. So here use state will make it more like a state management in Nuxt, so it's more like a global state. The only difference with Pioneer being, which is another state management system with Vue, is that this use state is very useful if you want something SSR friendly and something simple. In this case, we just need some kind of state to store the user details so that every component can access it. If you need more complex things, like you will need accessors, getters, and all those things, then it's best to use Pioneer. Now here we will just we'll go to use Axios and make another change. Here we will add a function, a sync function. What this is gonna do is just gonna make a request to Sanctum CSRF cookie. It will set the cookie and get the job done for us. Use Axios. So we need to also send this from use Axios. So here I need to do something like this, API and CSRF. So here I'm going to do API CSRF, use Axios. No need to import it because it's auto imported. Here I'm going to do CSRF function. Then I'm going to make a call to a function. I'm going to say API.post user form, whatever the user form details are. Then we will get data. I'm just gonna use this console.log data. We will get the error if there are any, so we'll catch the error and we'll just console.log error.response.data. We'll just keep till here. Same we'll need for registration. So register user form, we'll have data, we'll just console.log data. Here also we'll have the data, and I think we will also need some way to iterate this state. So here I'm gonna say function me. Here I'm gonna make a call to pi me, that's our route in the Laravel side, then data, and I'm just gonna say console.log data. I did a little mistake here. It should be like this because it's gonna be response, and within response we have data. Same over here as well. Like, great. Now let's go to auth form. Here we can get those things. So const login, sorry, use auth. We will have login and register. Perfect. Then we'll need the states to be assign on these forms. So here I'm going to create a reactive state. So const user form equal to reactive email name password confirmation. We'll also need the error bag. It's just not sent yet, so we'll send the error bag. and then here we can just bind it. So here I'm going to say vModel. This will be user form dot name, error bag as well. So error message, error bag dot name. Same for this one. We have, what do we have? vModel user form dot email. Perfect. So I've also assigned vModel on email, password and all with the error message thing. So that's great. Now let's proceed forward over here. So we will need some functionality. So on the form, we'll remove all of this. And I'm gonna have submit dot prevent and then handle form. Let's go here. Function handle form. If it's a sign in form, we'll run the login function. Otherwise, we run the register function. So let's run our both servers. So first the Laravel one, PHP artisan serve. Next one, look, okay, it says init must be a functional. Oh, sorry. I think I know what I've done wrong here. Use state, where somewhere I use state. This should be like this. Perfect. We also need to send the user from here. User. Nice. And the me function as well. So let's see what happens when we send the blank data. If it works, we should get validation error. Credentials do not match our. Okay, so we are getting to the validation phase. So here we have email. And so we have errors. Within errors, we got email. So we can transform these using something like a transformer, a function, sorry, a composable, which would be use error.js. So export default function use error function transform errors. Here we will have, we could say transform Axios errors, or let's do this, transform validation errors, and this is for Axios. So here I'm going to say handler type, that's Axios, and here I will have error bag, or actually the response. Nice. I'll create the error bag here. Const error bag is equal to, actually we could create error bag here. We could just say error bag and then just object with null, maybe something like this, like just an empty object. And this error bag, we can return error bag. Just need to make sure that it's very specific. Error bag, perfect. And transform validation errors. Then we can do something like this. Over here we can use error, so error bag, and also we have, let's get the use errors first. Use error, then we got transform validation errors, error bag. Perfect. Right, so here we have the response, so equal to Axios. We have if response dot this thing over here, response dot data dot errors. If this exists, then only we can go the thing. So here we have errors. Within errors we have this array. So here I'm going to say for let key in errors dot data over here. So each error's key, so email and their 0th index message, key 0th index message, and we get to the error bag. Perfect. Let's do that over here. So we could say instead of this over here and on the sign up. So let's try. So here I'm going to say transform validation errors, And I'm just gonna pass this error.response.data. So actually we can say error dot, so response.data.errors. Yeah, so error.response, and it will be like response.data.errors. Perfect. Let's try this. So here I'll just put some random details. Sign in, these credentials do not match. Perfect. So our validation working great, all working great. Let's proceed forward. Let's try with these details. So sign in, there we go, validation working great, all good. Now let's take it from here to the next steps. Now let's test sign up. So if we go over here and try to register, so Aditya, credentials do not match our records. Okay, let's see what I've done wrong. Sorry, this should go to register. My fault, sorry. So now if we try again, sign up. It's still going to log in. Need to reload this. Confirmation does not match. There you go. So we get the users with the details. Perfect. Now we need to store this user somewhere. So what I'm going to do is, after this is done over here, in both cases, here we should go to verify email screen, which I won't do it because the scaffolding is there on the backend, but we just need to create a page and then proceed forward. So verify email screen. Here we take it to the route, so dashboard. Perfect. So what we need to do here is we create a simple page. We call it new file in the dashboard folder, dashboard index.view, sorry, dashboard /index.view. Perfect. We just create a simple page like this and say this is dashboard, and then go over here. If we get the user, we put it data.user and we can navigate to dashboard. This is again built-in function from Nuxt. So let's try this out. Let's go to login. This is also, we need to make sure the password correct. So what we need to do is every time we make a request, here and here, we need to reset this thing. So to add a function here, reset function, reset error bag, and we use that function here. Reset error bag every time we make this request over here and over here. We call this reset error bag. Perfect. So that the previous errors will be resetted. And now we are getting password must be 8 character. It's the same error. Wait, why do I need to reload this? Why is it not picking up my changes? A bit weird. Let's try again. Password. Okay, so it took me to the dashboard over here. Great. I'm at the dashboard. Now let's see if I can see at the dashboard the user details. If I go to dashboard, let's get const user and me from, sorry, use auth. Let's say on mounted, we just make a call to the me function. And let's see, we get the user dot email if it exists, just to make sure that we can get the user. This is the user. This is something like this. Okay, not yet. Now we need to go over here in the me function. I think we haven't completed that yet, so you can simply add data.user. Is it user? No, just the data as it is, data. Perfect. So there you go. Perfect. Now here what has happened is that when we made this request, Laravel added that token already in the cookie, and with Axios credentials set over here, we don't need to manage those tokens by ourselves, but if needed we can always manage it. But with these two things, it's automatically done for us, at least for now. If needed, if the time comes, we can manage that, so don't worry. We can now also add a middleware. So what we will do is, if you go to Nuxt documentation, you'll see we just need to create a middleware folder, and within that middleware folder, you need to add a file. So in this case, something like this, where is this, auth.ts or something.ts. If it's a global middleware, it will be applied on all the routes. If it's just a normal middleware, we need to apply it using define page meta. So let's go over here. Let's create a new file. I'm going to call it, it's not in this composables. I have to create it outside of composables. So new file, middleware. I'm going to call it auth.ts. I'm also going to create the other one, which is guest.ts. So the guest middleware will be applicable for the login and sign up and sign in route. So if the user is already authenticated, they will just be taken to dashboard. So here I'm just gonna get this piece of code from here, paste it for the auth one first over here. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this part. I can also use the same middleware, just need to make sure that what the path is. And if it's going to one of those paths, then just apply those middleware, but that's fine. We can have separate, like no problem at all. So here, all I need to do is first get the user. So const here, we will have use auth. From there, we are gonna get the me function. I'm gonna use this as an async middleware, async function, sorry. Then here we can have, I think we can have the async function. Just need to double check. Shouldn't be a problem, but we will see. Yeah, shouldn't be a problem. If it's not, then we'll fix that. So here what we need to do is we need to do const user equal to await me, or here we can just straight away get me and user dot value. So here I could await me, and then here I could do if user dot value is not there, then navigate to login. Otherwise, just continue, something like this. Okay, so this works good. So if it's, let's just double check if it goes till here, or we can just print the user dot value here in middleware user dot value. Perfect. Now what I'm gonna do is just gonna apply this middleware on the dashboard route over here. So I'm gonna use define page meta. So also these middlewares are SSR friendly, like this use state is SSR friendly, so our user should be hydrated over here, but we'll just double check. So here I'm gonna say define page meta middleware is gonna be auth middleware. Okay, refresh. So it's taken to login. Let's try again, dashboard. Okay, let's see if we can see over here what does the console says. So it says request failed with status of 401. Okay, yeah, the first thing is this function is not async, so we'll make this async function. So async, and then here I'm gonna do const data equal to await dot data. This should work, hopefully. So now this is an async function, so we can now use that within the middleware over here. So if we go back to our page, try to go to dashboard, it says 401. Now let's see what's wrong now. The main problem, I'll tell you what was happening, is that when we were making this request, this is a client side request, and the cookies are set on the in the browser or on the client side. So when we access it from the middleware, we cannot access it because this is server side. So what we need to do is we need to set the cookie on the server. So I have created an API route. So to create an API route, it's super simple in Nuxt 3. All you have to do in the server folder, create the API folder, and then just need to create the route that you want. For instance, if I want /API /set cookie, and if I want the post route, then just set cookie and then post and then TS or JS. Now here I have this define event handler function, which is exported as default, and it has to be as it is. You cannot change this because Nuxt looks for this. And within this, you have your own function, this one over here, or you can call it as a handler function. So it's an async function, which takes in the request event, which is an object. And then we use the read body, which is the built-in function that comes with H3 server, because Nuxt under the hood uses H3. So we can use that and pass the event and then whatever key we want from that body content. And then here we have the set cookie function, again comes from H3. We take in the event, the name of the cookie, the value of the cookie, and the options. So I just want this HTTP only and I want it for 1 year, and then cookie set successfully. Also I will create a new route here, which is logout.post.ts. So here I need to remove that cookie. So here what I'm going to do is just gonna copy this from here, keep it nothing like this. We need event, and then I think they have delete cookie. So here I have the event and token, and then here I'm going to say cookie removed successfully. This is for logout. I'll tell you why we are removing this, because this cookie this token will be using it on the in the middleware. Perfect. Now if we go back to the use auth over here, so once we log in, we make the API request to our API route, not the Laravel route. So this is within the Nuxt and this is within the Laravel. So whenever I'm using API.post, I'm making to the Laravel server. This is for the Nuxt server. So this is the advantage of using like Nuxt in this, because if we use plain view, then we need to add these features by ourselves, adding a node server and having the feature in Laravel or somewhere or the other to make this work. But with Nuxt, we get that backend node server, so it just makes it smooth. Now here we have the token that is being passed, because in the response from the Laravel API, we get the user as well as the token. And then we set the token and then navigate to dashboard. So we set it in the cookie and then navigate to dashboard. In the logout, we also need to make the request to logout. And also before we go over here, we need to do something like this. So here we just need to do a fetch request to, I think it's logout, API logout. Let's double check. Yeah, API logout, post. We don't send anything here. We should have made it as a GET request, but that's not a problem. And then navigate to the home page. Perfect. Nice. So that's our use auth. Now we can go to our middleware, which is auth.ts. Here we use the use cookie composable that comes with Nuxt. And here we can access any cookies, server side, client side. But as this is on a server, we can only access on the server side, but the composable can be used to access any kind of cookies. Now then, we don't need this use auth here. We don't need this one over here. All we have to do is just need to make sure that if this token exists. So if token.value, then if this is not there, we navigate to home root. Perfect. Now let's give this a try. So all I have to do is now go to this and clear all my cookies related to the, so you'll see the token is set. I was just trying it before. If we go over here, let's run this. Let's remove, you'll see no cookies here yet. That's great. So here I can do sample.com password. Now this should set the cookie here, token, great, and the dashboard. Now what we do is we can apply the middleware. So we go to, so many files are open, middle dashboard root over here, and here we can say, so auth middleware is already there. So this is working well. We got the user.email, and also here we can make a request through the middleware. Also we can make a request, like we could say, if we could do something like this, so that this is set during, but this won't be set during the server side. So all we could do is make a request here to the, again, backend server, and then use the same logic that we use with Axios and make request to the me root. So there are multiple ways to do it, or we can handle it by making the request on here with on mounted, like something like this, on mounted. And here in the, we can create a layout, and within the layout we can make a request. There are various ways to handle it. Now this is done. Let's try the guest root. So in the guest root, what we need to do is opposite of auth. So here we will say if token.value, then go to dashboard. Otherwise just stay wherever you are. And then we can go to index, which is our home root. Here we can say define page meta. And here we could say not the layout, but the middleware is guest. Copy this from here and paste it in the sign up as well. Perfect. Now let's give this a try. So if we go to, okay, it's not taking us there. It's a token is there. So okay, let's see why it's not taking us there. I think I know what I'm doing wrong. In the middleware over here, we need to return this. So return, and this also return. This should work most probably. There you go. So from here we go to dashboard. From dashboard we are thrown again here. So what we need to do in the dashboard is in auth, we need to say if not token dot value, then only return there. Okay, let's see if we get the token value here. Right, the problem here is that if you see, the token is coming undefined, because again this cookie is server side, because it's HTTP only. So we need to make sure that here we could do something like this: const key if process dot server. If it's there, we look for token, otherwise we look for XSRF token, one of these, because inside the cookies over here, you go to application, we have XSRF token. So we look for one of these, and then here we do something like this. We put that key here and keep it like this. Remove this from here. Also take this from here and put it for the guest one. I have also removed that async function from this, so just in case if it causes any problem. So this goes over here, and what I'm going to do is if that token is there, then go to dashboard. Perfect. Let's give this a try. Okay, now this works. Perfect. Now if we want to log out, we also need to remove the other cookie from when we log out. So here we need to do delete cookie event XSRF token. So we remove all the cookies. We also remove, I think when you make a request to the Laravel root, it automatically removes those cookie, but just in case if it doesn't, now we are set with the middleware and authentication. Perfect. Now let's start with the dashboard. So here I'll be taking code again from Tailwind device. So I'll just grab this, and we'll also create nested routes. So if you haven't checked my video on nested layouts or nested routes using Nuxt, please do check that video for more details. I'm going to touch a little bit on that in this case. So here we go and create inside the dashboard. We already have dashboard. So in the pages, we create a new file, call it dashboard.view. Now what I want is any route within the dashboard, they should be displayed within this shaded area over here. But for that, I don't want these things to change, like the sidebar and the search bar. I don't want them to be re-rendered. I only want this thing to be re-rendered, because that's going to be the page content. What if you have a layout inside a layout, or you have like nested layout structure? So in that case, what you do is create a folder name, and then the parent, this dashboard is the parent route for all these child routes. So the view component of that parent. So here I'm going to put this code that I got from Tailwind UI. I'm going to remove all of these things that are not needed. So I'll just refactor this and then continue from there. So I have refactored the code. Now we need to install the necessary libraries, like I need to install npm I headless UI, and also hero icons, view. And also I'm getting this warning like duplicate imports, because I believe under the hood Nuxt also has its own use error hook. So maybe I need to rename it further down the line, but for now just run this. Okay, now let's try to log in. Right, we are here. Now we could see like here we need the settings and all those things. Those are not needed, so we can remove the things that are not needed. So from here I can remove the settings thing, and that's great. Also need to change this, that's fine. But what I have done is I'll just tell you in more like short. So first thing is there were two nav bars, mobile and sidebar, because if I show you the mobile version of this here, if I go to, let's say, iPhone SE, you'll see that there is this sidebar over here, which we need to make it functional. And the other thing was that they also got the desktop sidebar. Next thing we need to do is we just need to bring those two components over here. We have created a composable. So use sidebar. So what that composable does is it wraps the navigation items and also whatever is the common thing, like sidebar open, it's a common thing. And also here we got another common thing, which is sidebar open, that we can get it from use sidebar. And then I think if we go back again and try to reload this, there we go, we have the sidebar working. So if I click over here, perfect. I also need to remove the settings from the mobile version from here. Great. Right, so we have our layout almost ready. Now what we need to do is over here, if you notice, we got the place where we can put content. So whenever we are creating the nested layout, we just need to say here Nuxt page like this, and then you'll see that whatever is inside this one over here will come over here. Now we can put this middleware at a layout level. I think it should work, but let's give this a try. So if I take, because this is, even though it's a layout, it's kind of like a parent page. So we look at that. Perfect. Okay, works. Great. Now after this is done, what we need to do is, once we have all these things set, we just need to work on our pages. So let's work on our pages one by one and take it from there. So first let's change these things over here. So I'm going to keep the projects. If I go to use sidebar, I'm going to keep the projects. Dashboard, I'm going to keep it. So this will become / what is that? It is / dashboard. Right. Also in the user icon or user thing, if we see, we got the user menu somewhere. I think it was in this dashboard over here, user menu. Yep. So here we got your profile and sign out, so that this goes to log out. So we will need to add that feature. We'll add that. Actually, we will start with that. That's a little bit easier, I believe. And what we need is here, I think everything is set. Great. Now we also need to add, wherever it says a tag, we need to use Nuxt link, which is a built-in component that comes with Nuxt, and this will take care of routing for us. And where it says href, that will be 2. And this is fine. We also need to do the same thing in wherever we are using that anchor tag. So here also Nuxt link, this will be 2. Anywhere else, I think we are doing that in sidebar here. Yeah. Nuxt link, href will be 2. Perfect. Reload it. We will also need some meta tags here. So index here, I'm going to add meta tags, title, project, app, description, something like this. Perfect. Also, we will now work with sign out first. So in the dashboard layout, we got somewhere here logout functionality, which is this one. So I just need to find where this user navigation is used. So this is used over here. And if I look all over where it is used, otherwise it's just used in dashboard.view. So that's fine. So here I just need to say, if it's a logout link, then I can take it to a logout route. I can create a server route, log out from there, and then take them to wherever they want to go. So here I'm going to say /logout. Here I just need to say if it's a sign out. So if the root item.href is logout, we don't show this. So here I'm going to say vif. I think I messed up a bit here. Yeah, vif item.href not equal to logout. Otherwise, I'm going to create a button that I got, which is this one over here somewhere. And I think we have got the ghost. Let's add the ghost one for this ghost variant. And here for the ghost variant, I'm going to add transparent background and all these things. here I'm going to say variant equal to ghost. Then I'm going to remove this. I'm going to keep this as VLs. I'm going to remove this. Keep those classes, actually they are not, it's fine. And then here we will have const equal to use auth. We will have logout. Not sure why I'm not getting those autocomplete. Let me restart my VS Code and see. Okay, now it's working. So here I can just do this. Still not exactly the right one, but that's fine. Logout over here, and within the logout we have this root. So let's go over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say on click of this, just log out. So let's try and log out. Go over here. The button text is not aligned, so we need to say over here text start. Doesn't work. Okay, then maybe we need to do the other one, text center. Next center. Yeah, that's fine. So sign out. Okay, why not working? Let's see console. We get 404 800. Logout is not there. I think over here we got API logout. This is logout. Let me see what's inside our Laravel side. So we have our logout over here, like API logout in the Laravel side. So I think we need to do the same thing there. So here we need to say API logout, which I think it should have. No, the base URL is not that, right? So try again, sign out. There you go. Perfect. If we try to go to dashboard, perfect, great. So let's proceed forward from here. Right, on the projects page I want to show, which is not there currently, I want to show projects, like the list of projects. So what I'm going to do is over here I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it project. Then I'm going to call it index.view, which will display all the list of projects. So let's go over here, and within the sidebar we can add / projects, which is this one over here, which is already there. Great. So if we now try to go over here, we have template script is required. That's fine. So here we can just make a basic scaffolding with vbase. Try again, and / projects. We got index.view. Sorry, dashboard projects. It should be not just projects. It should be dashboard projects. Let's go to dashboard. Let's go to projects. There you go. Now we can add projects here. So we need to make an API call here. So I'm going to make that on the client side. So what I'm going to do is here I'm going to say const API equal to use Axios. We are calling it use Axios, right? Yeah. Then here I'm going to say const projects equal to ref, and it's blank. I could have made this server side root, but this, let's make this a client side page. So here I'm going to say on mounted. I'm going to have a function, and I'm going to have something here known as function load project. So here I'm going to say api.get, and I think the API route is API projects. I'm going to say .then. I'm going to get the data, and then I'm going to say projects.value, and also console that data here so that we see what do we get. Right, let's try it out. We are not getting anything there. Okay, let's see why. Oh, we haven't called it. Of course, how will we get it if we haven't called it? Right, so now we get the data. The array is empty. Okay, let's in that case create a project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a button here to add a project, and I think as per our API, if we go to the projects API, So we create a project. Here we get all the projects. In the project API, we just need title and description. So I could actually, rather than adding as a modal, I can just create it over here. So also to this page, let's close all these things that are not needed. Here I'm gonna say outside actually meta tags title project list. Let's keep it like this. Perfect. And then we can add the projects. Now here I'm gonna create just a button over here to add project. So I'm gonna create it as a component. So inside components I'll click Y because it will have the form. So I'm gonna keep it very basic form, like very basic. So here I'm gonna create project add dot view. So here I will have vbase setup script. First I will have a button that will say add project. The variant will be primary. Let's get that over here. Project add. Okay, great. When we click on this, we don't need the full width button. Class width of 52. I think we need to also add this class on button over here. So button, we bind attributes, layouts, we got width full. Let's remove the width full. Perfect. Then we add a project. This needs to go to the here, or we can keep it here. Let's keep it to the other side. So here I'm gonna say items end, I believe, or if I do more like this, sorry, class flex column, and let's keep it like this. Div dot flex md, it is flex row, otherwise it is flex column. On mobile screen there is a gap of maybe 4, and md, it is items center. We do something like this. We got add project, the form. So here we will have the project form. So here I'm going to say form, and what I'm going to do is on md, this is justify between, something like this. And on phone we can have the other way around, where we click the project and the form comes either at the top or the bottom. We can do anyway. Now here for the form we will have the form group. Let's create some states. So project equal to reactive, we can use here. We will have title, that's going to be blank. Description, that's going to be blank. We will have, I think we are using that use error. So here we are passing the error back, and then we are getting the response. So also let's change this. I'm going to say rename this as use custom error, so that it doesn't clash with Nuxt things. Custom error. And wherever I have said use error, which is this one over here, I'm going to say use custom error. Perfect. Here also I need to say use custom error. So I will get error bag, use custom error. With that I'm going to get transform function, what I'm calling it there, transform validation, and reset error back, this one over here. Perfect. Then we have const API, we got Axios. Now next here we make function add project. We make request to the project API with a post request. We send the data, which is this one over here. When we get the data, we just emit it. So here I'm gonna say const emit, to define emit. We will have added, or on add, and then here we can just say emit. So we are just emitting an event. So what we are doing is whenever we add the project, when someone clicks here, click project added, perfect, it gets added over in our database and then also gets sent to the parent component over here so that we can add it to the list. So emit, add, and the project that is being added, actually the data that we get. And then if there are any error, we show the error. So here I'm going to say name equal to title. Then we got vmodel and the error message, I believe I'm calling it. Let me double check. Yeah, error message, and then label class, all those things which are already there. So error message, right? We also need one for description. This is description. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this form as a grid layout. So class grid calls 1 on mobile, otherwise grid calls 3 on normal, like medium device and all, and there will be some gap. And then here we can have a button which will be a ghost button, and we'll say save. So there we have it. It's kind of, no, this we don't want it, like we'll just add it as a normal button for now. Yep. And also what we need here is that this one over here, flex grow. Okay, so this takes the full width. Let's give this no need of items, and we will just do width of maybe 40, and then we will just add it, like just put it below kind of. So here I'm gonna say empty 10. Oh, that's too much, maybe 5, and that would be on MD devices. Perfect. So that's there. So we have the save button. Let's give some text to this. So text primary, sorry, purple. Did I define my theme? No, not yet. So let's just add purple text for now. Maybe 800 and text bold, sorry, font bold, semi bold. Right, so we save it. That goes over here. We can also use the hero icons if needed, but for now I'll just keep this simple. Okay, I want this form when I click on this add project. So here add click, show form, const show form equal to ref false, and show this form if show form. Perfect. So we add project. Let's try on click show form equal to not show form. This should be like this. Perfect. There you go. We have the project. We add the project. Now the UI is very, I would say, not that good. I accept that. Sorry for that. Just focusing on the functionality first. We can also console it when we see the project details. Details project. Okay, let's give this a try. So here I'm going to say project ABC. This is amazing. And if I console this, let's also make it normal. Console this, save. Okay, oh sorry, we need to put the submit thing here. So here I need to use submit.prevent add project. Save. Console, we get the data over here, and in the data we got the array. So we just need to send this to index.view25. We already get that one, project ABC. That's great. And here we push it to index.view over here, and we try to mount it. So here I'm going to say on add, we will get handle project addition. So here I'm going to say function handle project addition project. Just gonna console that as well. Let's add 2-3 projects and let's see what do we get as we add them. So let's reload this. We get 3 projects now. Project ABC. Okay, why is it adding on load? Okay, something is not right here. So you got submit.prevent. we are adding the project. Okay, let me see what's wrong. Whatever wrong am I doing here? I need to change things here. I need to say error.response, and here I need to reset error back. So we give this a try. Add project, save. Okay, perfect. Just goes once. Right, the reason being the form is getting submitted because I believe of this button. So I need to say this is the button of type submit, and this is just of type button. Also added this on this click event here. I need to remove it from here and just need to keep it on the submit prevent. Small mistake, but yeah. So now that should fix our error. ABC3, save, details, perfect. Everything is once. Now all the projects that we get, we just need to, this is the project we get project.data. Here also when we load the projects, we get data, if you notice. So we reload this, we get data, and within that data we have data. So here I'm going to say projects.value, data.data, projects.value equal to project and projects.value. I'm going to say project.data, and that perfect. And then just simply show the projects here. So what I'm going to do is, do I have a heading component? Yeah, I do. So here I'm going to say heading, I'm going to say your projects. Let's keep it there, perfect. And then I'm going to keep it class flex column gap of 10. Perfect. Add projects, your projects, great. Then here I'll see the list of projects. So let's show the list of projects. So here inside the dashboard, I'm going to create .view, vbase, setup script. This will be like a simple project card. Will be flex column, gap of 2. Then we have here, like it will be title, description, something like that. Then here we have padding from all side of 4, rounded, and LG and MD. Sorry, what's that thing called? I think it's called shadow. Yeah. Here I will get as a prop, so const prop equal to define props. That's going to be a project of type object. Here I'm going to show with a heading, and that will be h6. This will be project dot title, and then here I'm going to have project dot description with class of text gray of 600. What I'm going to do is in index.view, I'm going to show that project list. So here I'm going to say a column layout and grid layout, sorry. Keep it like this. We got projects and projects. Project.id is the key, so we are using v4 to do the list rendering, the key to make sure that view can render it using properly, list rendered properly with the virtual DOM. Prop of project, and passing that each project as a prop. And there we go. We have project ABC, project XYZ. Not sure why it's not showing the description. I'm not sending it, that's why. Okay, that's fine. But I don't need text center for the heading. So here I'm going to say class text start. There you go. And then we can add other things here like delete button and all those. But when I click on it, I want to take it there somewhere. So I'm going to make it as a Nuxt link, and I'm going to keep that project ID as a way to go to that project. So here I'm going to say dashboard project.id, and there we can see the tickets, the Kanban board, and all those things. So if I go over here, there we go. We need to work on this now. That's fine. But also let's work now delete project. So here I'm going to import a trash icon. So import from trash icon. I'm not sure why I don't get autocomplete. Sometimes I get it, sometimes literally no idea. Anyhow, this will be something like this, a span tag. And we have flex, items, center, justify between, and then we have the trash icon. And here I'm going to say class of height, width and 5. So I could use size utility, and it says outline 24 outline. Now that makes sense. So when I click on this, it deletes the project. So if I go to the card over here, I will say click delete project. Already got the project, so here I'm going to say Axios function delete project. I'm going to make a request to that thing. So API, let's see what's the URL route for our project deletion. So when we delete the project, we make the delete request to API project ID. So this is going to be delete API project ID. We then say project deleted, and we also need to do an emit, define emit on delete. So here I'm going to say props ID, just emit that event, take it to index.view. I'm going to say add delete handle project deletion. Then here I will have function handle project deletion. I'll get the project if I am not wrong. So here I'm gonna get I'm getting the project ID. Let's get the project itself. And then here I could say projects.value filter whatever project ID is not equal to project.id. And here I'm gonna just use simple comparison of just the 9 types together. This is gonna be a project. Perfect. So project, this is gonna, I'm gonna say P, this is gonna be P, and that makes sense. Perfect. Let's reload this. Console messages, nothing there. Let's delete this one. Oh, sorry, we need to do something here now. Now what's gonna happen is like this one over here, the card, it won't accept it because it's wrapping this Nuxt link. So what I need to do is either use this absolute and then use this relative and put it somewhere like that, or try to find a way to handle this. I need to do a bit complicated one here because that absolute doesn't work. So here I need to create a div, make that div as a card. Over here, make that as relative. So class like this, and all I need to do now is, okay, this Nuxt links remains as it is, so that will come over here, and this trash icon comes outside like this. And then all I have to do is something like this. Then now if we try to reload this, it says failed because element is not a valid attribute name. Okay, let's see. So delete project, we got Nuxt link over here, we got div, oh sorry, that extra not needed. Perfect. And now if we reload this, okay, you'll see now it doesn't navigate. So we can now have here this thing, and now let's try to delete it. So let's delete ABC. Perfect. Let's see if ABC is deleted. Perfect. Nice. Great. Let's take it from here now. So we'll now create a dynamic route. So within our projects over here, I'm going to create a new file. If I want to create a dynamic route, I'm going to call it something like this. So it will be slug square bracket dot view. So something like what we have over here. If we go to, so we have your dynamic route. So here we could use one square bracket or multiple like this, and then we have routes.params.group, so for group and ID, and we want to give it, we can use route and then routes.params.group. Okay, so now we can create here vbase setup script, and for now let's just display const route equal to use route, and then here we will have on mounted. Let's just get the project. So const project equal to use, I think this should be a state because we will have a board. We need to pass this project ID all over the board, and we might need to do many things. Let's take till here first. So ref of an object or nothing, and on mounted we can need const API use Axios, and here we will have API dot get, and we just need to use project ID. I think we get the project based on the ID, so we already have that in the slug. So we go to the this one over here to get a project. We have API project and the project ID. So we got that there. So here I'm going to say API project ID, and let's just console this. Let's go over here. Let's click on this. Let's click on this. Just need to restart the server and reload the page, and there we have it. And then if we see over here in the console, we see the project should be value, and within the value we should see the project details in a moment. So created, add title, and boards that it got. So we can give it like a base board saying that okay, this is Kanban board, this board, that board, or we can tell them to add board one after the other, like how they like. So let's have a button here to add board, which will just create a plain board here, and it just keeps on adding to the right, but the plain board will be always to the left and the other boards to the right. And also we will have the tickets within the board. So let's do that. So now we will start with the Kanban board. So here first I'm gonna display the project title. So I'm gonna get the heading component. Then I'm gonna say project dot title. Also we need to make sure that we take the data.data, and if we see over here we get project ABC, and here also I'm gonna say text start, and that should bring it in the center. And also next thing we need to do is we can also put the project description here. So just in case if someone provides a description, we can have like a project description with some text gray of 100. So this is just to give like a one-line description. Now here we will provide the Kanban board, but below that we'll provide like a button to add board. So here I'm gonna do something like this. There will be a button with variant of primary, and then here I'm going to say add board, and then we just need to push this down. So what I will do is I'll do like class, make it a flex column layout, flex column, and gap of maybe 10, something like this, and also wrap this in a div. Perfect. And also this is too much of a gap, maybe reduce it. Great. So now here when we click on this, we want a board to be added here. So we'll add the board, and as we add the board they go towards the right, something like that. So here I will have the list of boards, and here I will have a static board which we will use to add any new board in the list. So here I'm going to create another component. So we are in the project, or I can create new folder. I'm going to call it board, and then here I'm going to create a static board. So static board will be a form, but there will be a board layout. So here we just need to make sure that the boards are kind of like a infinite scroll, or more like if you can scroll them. So if there are n number of boards, because we don't want like all the board just like scrimped and just put over there. So here I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to create a div with a max width of maybe 2XL, and then I'm going to say overflow auto, and I will put that overflow only on a x-axis, while overflow y will be hidden, or we don't need it because it's already there. So then we have the board here. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that the maximum width that it goes, so here we will say flex column for the mobile. No, actually we'll keep it like this. So this is, we need to do actually other way around, not max width, because we need to manage the width. So on phone, so it's width full on phone, and everywhere it's width full, while overflow x is. So here what I will do is I'll create a board first. Let's just check if we can have that. So here I will have a board. So I'll create like a layout of the board, layout.view. And then here we will have a vbase setup. Here I will give that board a fixed width. So width will be more like, let's see what options do we got. I want somewhere around, then height of auto. For now, I'm just going to give some height so that I can see, or we can see the board like how it looks like. Just going to give a border, and or maybe just give a shadow with rounded corners. You can also make those board color coded if you like. Then we need to store the color in the database and then just get the color and just put it over here from the database. So here rounded LG. And then here we will have a slot to get in whatever details we want to put it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a static board, static.view, and then here we have vbase setup. We will have board layout, and here I'm just going to put a form so that we can add a board, and then we can have, call it dynamic board dot view vbase. Here we will have define props, and here we will have const props, and then this board will be an object. Also need to make it board layout. Perfect. And here we can have like maybe some board like tickets. So here we'll bring the tickets later. But for now, what I need to do is I just need to put like around 7 boards. So here I'm going to put board, any board like static board or create dynamic board. I just want to see if it goes like, let me say I have a lot of boards like this. So you'll see it's going like one below the other. We don't want one below the other. We want it kind of like in a flex layout. So flex, and I'm going to give gap of 2. So there you go. And this, it's kind of like shrinking it. I don't want it to shrink. So what I need to do is on each layout, I need to say flex of none. And then we have this perfect scrollable boards. We also want to increase the width. Maybe I'll give the border so that we can see them. So here border, and maybe increase the width. Maybe keep this for mobile, but on the other ones, we can keep it width of maybe 2, something like this. And we have these bigger boards, something like this. Great. Because on mobile, it might cross, or 288 pixels should be fine actually on mobile as well. Let's make it 72. That would be perfect. Great. So here we have the boards, then we have the tickets one after the other. Now we can also increase the gap between the boards. So here, if we go back, we can just increase the gap, let's say 7, and we have good gap between the boards. Great. So these are our boards. And then as we add the boards, they will come like, as you see, towards the right. Perfect. So now we'll just keep a static board that would be always there. And then we will have boards. Then we will have a list of board over here. So for the static board, we need to pass the project. So this is this one over here. And what we will do is go to the static board and also accept a prop of const props equal to define props. We will have a project object kind of. Great. Now here we'll have our form. So class, maybe flex column, gap of 2. And let's see, what do we need for the board API? So if we go to the post request of board, we need the title, just the title, and that's it. So what we could do is just have a simple form input or form group. Actually, form input will do. We can just put, we can say placeholder is board title, and let's see how it looks like over here. So we got this one over here, and then is it form input? It should be form input. Yep. We can also increase the padding over here so it looks better. P of 2. Yep. And then we just need to make sure that it's either like this, or we can just remove the border of the board. Now we know how the board looks like. So we can just make this like a light border like this, and or maybe a little bit darker border like this. Perfect. And then we can have the board title. Now here we can also remove the inputs border, like bottom border and all those things, but I'll keep it like a normal input, like however it is right now. Great. So here I will have submit.prevent, add board. Then here I will need for error message. So we will need a few things. So we'll need the API that will come from use Axios. Then we have const use custom errors. Thing that I'm not sure why these things are not error, actually not errors. Just need to maybe restart VS Code. Sometimes I don't know, like I just need to restart the VS Code and it just works. So like the suggestions and all, maybe something wrong in my VS Code. Anyhow, so we got the error bag, and then here we got Axios, and then we have the function to add board. But before that, we'll also need board title. So we'll have a board form, and this would be reactive. This will have title, will be the blank title, and we have the project ID. Project ID will be props.project.id. In case if this is not filled, because sometimes the props are not hydrated. So if it's not filled, we'll just also fill in when we are about to submit this form. Great. Then here we have a function add board, and that simply what it does is we make a post request to API board, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, API board, and there we got the title. So we just submit the board form, but before that here we simply do board form dot, just in case if the project ID is not filled in, we just assign it over here. Like if it misses over here, maybe some blank value for some reason, the component is here and there, so for some reason, so we just filled in over here. And then here we have to reset the error back before we send it. We send the board form, we get the response, or we can simply use like this data, and then here we could say we will get the added board. So here we again need to emit something. So const emit equal to define emit add. Whenever the board is added, I'm going to say add, then emit, actually my bad. Add is the event, and the board is data.data, or actually just the data, because we are destructuring it over here, that response object. I will also console it so that we could see how does the data looks like. And if there is any error, so catch error, I'm going to say transform validation error dot response. Perfect. So this is great. Here I'm going to span tag with class of extract bag dot title if there is an error related to title. Let's check it out. So here I will also need, so I need to submit this now with an enter key, or I need to have a button somewhere to say, okay, add a board or something like that, or I could do something like this. This would be easier. So div dot flex items center cap of 2. Here I have a button, just say add, and here I can just, let's see if we can use our button component, and then variant is secondary. Perfect. So we shouldn't have the gap, actually. We can remove the gap, and that's perfect. So we can board and then add. This is of type submit. Perfect. Now let's try to submit the board. Here we just need to say vModel. This is board form dot title, and placeholder is already there. So most probably this should be good. Can add the name attribute just if we need. Board title. Okay, great. So click as title field is required. Perfect. So we can now add it. So here if I say, let's check here. Don't forget to run your Laravel server in parallel, otherwise this won't work. So if you go to the normal screen and just try to type testing, add. So we add the board. This is the board details like testing, and we just need to add this board in the list of boards that we got over here. So if I go back over here, we have add that event. So because we are emitting an event from the child, so it comes to the parent, and here we will say handle board addition. So here what we need to do is, here I'm going to say function handle board addition. We'll get a board, and then we can simply do project dot value dot boards dot push, and we'll just push the board, and then here we can list render those board. So here we will also do the list rendering of the board, and we will have that button, and then we'll also do this hide and seek of this this one over here. So we have board dynamic, and then here we have board in project.boards, we have board.id, and then we pass that board. So if I go to the dynamic board over here, we got the board over here, and what I will do is I'll just display the board title. So heading here, I'm going to say board.title, and also actually it's props.board.title. Oh, sorry, in the layout. Yeah, I need to have vbind so that I can add additional classes if I want. Attributes, dollar attributes, nice. Perfect. So if we reload this, it says description, cannot read the properties, description. Where is it? Oh, here, to project.title, project.description, perfect. Reading ID, board.id over here. Then where else? I think it's board static.js over here also. We need to make sure that this one, as you know, like this is not hydrated yet, so that could be another problem. So we need to be very careful with that. And then boards, that is inside projects slug.js, cannot read properties of undefined boards. That would be over here. So just need to use defensive programming to avoid these errors. Perfect. So we got the testing board. We can just give some padding to the layout. So maybe just on dynamic one, we can give the padding. So I can say here class py of 2, then there'll be some padding at the top, right? Now this button, this board, if we, let's say, add doing, add it, it comes over here. But if you see, like the title is not going there. So we need to pass that title as well, because somehow we get the board, but it's in the data. So we need to have data.data. So actually going back over here, it should be data.data like this. Perfect. This also data.data. Perfect. So let's try again. So we got two boards. Let's say I want to add maybe bugs, add it, and there it is, the bugs board. Now all we need to do is make sure that this is only shown, the other one, when we click this button. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to add a state or ref const. No, not this, not on this. I want to add it on the parent over here. So I'm going to say const show board ref of false. There must be a better way to do this, because these things, I believe, that could be wrapped in the component, but just styling CSS will be a bit trickier. Perfect. So here I would just want to do something like this, like click show board equal to not show board. Perfect. And by default, this would be if show board. Perfect. So we add board, show board. Oh, sorry, I don't know why I put it show board like this, right? So try again, show board. Perfect, great. So we got the boards. Now let's get in the tickets. Now to add the tickets, we just need a button over here, like a plus sign or something, we can just need to work on that. So here we'll go to the dynamic board. I will have const add ticket. Sorry, yeah, it's a ref state, sorry, false. So this will show us the ticket form. And what I need is I want to import from hero icons view 24 outline, or it's outline 24, don't know, plus, no, correct, plus circle icon, perfect. So now let's add that over here, and then we can add the ticket. So the first thing I need to do is also, I forgot to add the meta tag, so also add that first over here. It shouldn't take much time. So title, and we'll just keep this like this. Perfect. Just need to use question mark here. Perfect. So there you go, project ABC. And then we go back to our board over here in the dynamic. Then we put a span tag here, grab it, span tag, make this a flex layout, flex, justify between, and we have items center and gap of 2. No gap, actually, no need of gap. So we got flex, and then we also need padding from all sides. So padding over there. We also need to make sure that this is H3. Perfect. And then we can add the plus icon here. plus circle icon. We got class size of 6. Then we got cursor, pointer, and we can also change the color like stroke green of 500. And then we can show the ticket form. Like exactly same logic we are going to do when we click on it. The first is a static ticket, and then we have dynamic tickets. So we go create the components, new file, ticket. We got static.view. We got the layout.view, like exactly like what we did for board, layout.view. And then we got dynamic.view. Perfect. Let's grab things from here. We don't need all these things. So let's grab things from here. Go to dynamic.view. Now here we need to put width of full. So ticket will go width of full. And here we will have a minimum height of maybe 40. So at not 40 actually, maybe let's try 28. So there will be some minimum height, and then we will have tickets as and when we add them. So let's also get our static ticket first. So we'll create a v-based setup. Same for the layout, otherwise we'll get errors. So here we just put, there will be a list of tickets. So the first one is always going to be our static ticket. So here class flex column, gap of 2 or 3. However, all I need to also make sure that this is overflow auto, while on the x-axis I want overflow hidden, because I don't want any ticket to be like scrollable. We can do something where the text gets wrapped, or we will figure out a way, but let's just get something over here. So we'll have a static ticket. So ticket static props.board. Then we will have all our dynamic tickets. So let's also get the board here first. Like, let's see what do we get when we console.log boards. And here if I do props.board, let's see what do we see inside the board. So we see in the console over here, we have created at and the tickets. So we need to use this tickets array. So here we will have ticket dynamic v for ticket in props.board.tickets. Key is ticket.id, and then we pass each ticket with it. Perfect. Also, we need to use defensive programming, like we need to make sure that the ticket exists. Otherwise, it's just going to throw an error, or the board exists as well. And whereas here also board.title. Perfect. Then here we can say show ticket form. This will come with a button click. So this button click, add click, show ticket form equal to not show ticket form. And then we show this if simple form, this one, we can just say form, or actually this should be ticket layout. Then we have the form here, same class flex column, gap of 2. Then here we have form input, placeholder, ticket title, name ticket title, if, which is very similar to what we are doing for board. So what we can also have done or could have done is like wrap this with a like a reusable logic, because it's very similar logic, just the API endpoint is different. All remember, like providing that the ticket and the board schema doesn't change. Otherwise, that's fine. If is not needed. We need a v model, which would be ticket form dot title. I think for ticket we need to send title, description. So description would be like the markdown description. You can create like a separate modal if you like, but here we'll keep it like a simple thing. Then here we have the form input. This would be of type text. We forgot to add the type on the previous one as well. Text. Here also, I was thinking like I'm missing something here. Don't know what. Great. Type text. Now here I want to have type of text area. So how can we do that? Well, pretty simple. We go to input. We first take all these classes. Okay. let's take all these classes and call this as input. Go over here, remove this blank CSS dot input, use the tailwinds apply directive, put it over here. Perfect. So input is here. Then we have text area. Same logic, class is input, just that here we have rows of 6, calls of 10, something like this. And here also we bind attributes. Now all we have to do is show the text area first, because that's easier. Here we will say if type is equal to text area. Otherwise we can show else. Then we have select also, we can show the select input. Whatever we need, we can show it over here. So now here we can go and say placeholder description. You can use the markdown if you like, however you want to use it, no problem. Then name equal to ticket description and vModel. If you see add ticket, okay, not sure why the form is not coming. Let's refresh this. Okay, no error yet. We got the project, that's fine. Console somewhere. Okay, missing something here. So board, if show ticket form on a button click. We'll also need to add here props, board, and let's go back over here. We forgot to add slot over here for the ticket layout, and there we have it. So show the form again, reload. Now in title we have ticket form.titles. We need to get here const ticket form reactive description, and also board ID will be props.board ID. Need to make sure that it exists. And now we can try to get the form. We get some errors again. So the errors are properties of nulls reading subtree. Okay, let's reload this. Okay, there we have it. Ticket title, description. The text area is still not what we want. It's coming as an input. Let's see if it's a text area. We also need the class. Along with class, we'll need the type. We'll need default as string. Perfect. And there we have it, text area. And then we have the add button. So here we can just have a button in a div tag, button add, and then here we have variant of maybe secondary. There we have it, secondary button, add title. Perfect. Just need like a bit of adding to the ticket layout, not to the ticket layout, the other one to the board. So here we just need to say py of maybe 5. Yeah, this looks good. So we have the ticket, and the other tickets will go down here. So let's add some dynamic tickets. So what I'm going to do is going to the dynamic ticket. We have this. Oh, sorry, I added all these classes on here. Actually, they should go on the layout over here. Perfect. And then we can just do ticket layout. And then here I will just add heading as h6, and I will just add test ticket. Let's have these over here. So let's remove input from here. Let's go to dynamic board. Let's add some tickets over here and here. There we go. It is giving like a lot of amount of height, so we can just remove this, like maybe 12 or maybe 10. Yeah, 10 is good. Then we have here, over here we say class text center, sorry, text start, and then also have padding from all sides, so 3. We also need from all sides actually p of 2. Yeah, that's perfect. And then we can add the button over here. Now what if the text is a lot, like a title is a bigger one? Let's say something like this, more bigger one. Yeah, it's going on a new line. Perfect. So you need something like this only. Great. So that's our ticket. Now let's also have script with a setup. We have const props equal to define props. We have a ticket. That's an object. Now we go over here to dynamic board. We can now use this to get the ticket. Perfect. Great. So let's add a ticket. We will go back to the static board over here. We have a same thing. Const API use Axios. Actually, we could have use API and the errors. We'll go use error with that. So we don't need to create like different composables, but that's fine. Error bag reset error bag use custom error, and then the function name from the composable that we have over here. Then we just have a function to add ticket. Also the event we will need const emit define add. Then we go over here, we have here submit.prevent add ticket. We just need the respective p.text red of 500 error bag dot if it exists title, and this would be for the description if there is any. Simple logic. First we reset the error bag, put the ticket form board ID, because remember sometimes it may not be there. Make the request and then emit it. Also console it. What do we get here? Data.data. Okay, add a ticket. Okay, we don't need this one over here. So when we are adding it, we don't really need the border of that ticket. So what I'm going to do is on the static ticket, I'm going to say class border 0 and shadow none, border none as well. It may not work. There it is. It works great. And the ticket, title field is required, description field is required. Perfect. Now we add the ticket. Testing the functions. PHP functions for test. Keep the console open so that we can see what do we get here. Add 422 description field is required. Okay, we're sending description. So here we need vmodel. Right. Then here we have, this is for PHP function. Add it. Okay, why is this not going yet? So we got vmodel over here, input. Maybe I need to reload it. That might do the trick. Nesting function, PHP function. Okay, it says 422. Let's see what does the API need. It needs board ID. It also needs rank. So we need to pass the rank. So rank will be the number of tickets that are already in the list. So what I'm going to do is to the static ticket over here. I already have the board over here, so that's great. So that's why it's best to pass the object as a prop so that you can access a lot of details like when you need it in the future. So here I'm going to say const rank equal to props dot board dot tickets dot length +1. So whatever is the length, rank is +1 of that. And then here we can send the form like this, and we say rank, and here we also use the spread operator so that we can spread that form. Perfect. Try again. Testing function. This is a PHP function. Add. There we go. We get the ticket. we have created ad description, rank, and all those things. And based on the rank, we need to put those tickets. So here we go back to the dynamic ticket. We have the dynamic board. We have add handle ticket addition. And then here we have, currently we are iterating on the props.boards.tickets. So what we can do is we need to add that within here. So the best way to do it is to, now we can actually emit to the parent and then manage it at this level. That's why it's best to keep this as a use state, this one, so that we can automatically handle it. We don't need to do a lot of emits. So now I think it's a time to change this to use state. So here I'm going to go to composables there. Here I'm going to create a new one, use project.js. And here I'm going to say const projects. That would be use state. And that would be project. By default, it's going to be blank. Be careful when you're using TypeScript. And we just send the project here. Put curly brackets, use project. Perfect. So we got now project.value, great. Now here we can handle the addition straight over here. So board static, we can straight away add the project over there. So we can take it from, we'll keep this for here. But what I want to say is if we go to board static over here, where we say emit over here, we can get the project here saying like const project, use project, and then whatever we are doing here, we can simply do it over here, data.data. Then we don't need this emit. We can remove it from here. We can also remove it from here, and it becomes easier to manage when you have components at a nested level. Great. Same logic, we could do it for the tickets. So in the ticket, we go over here, we have project, use project, and then here we could say function, here only, great. We could have project.board. No, wait, I'm doing something wrong. So we go to the static actually over here. Instead of emitting anything from here, we could simply say const project, use project. No need to auto import it. Sorry, no, it need to auto import it. No need to manually import it. Then here we get the ticket, and we need to find the board ID. So we get here project.value. Wait, let's do this. Const board, new board equal to project.value, or actually get the current board equal to project.value boards.find. We have board, whichever board.id matches with the props.board.id. Perfect. Within that current board, we say current board.tickets .push. We have the new tickets. Perfect. Then we say project.value.boards. We just need to go through all the boards. Value.boards.map, and we just say if the board ID matches with the board ID, like b.id equal to props.b.board.id, then in that case we pass the current board, otherwise pass the original board. So current board will be whatever tickets it has. We just add the ticket in it. We can see the new value of the projects.board here. So console.log project.value.boards, so that we can just double check we are on the right track. Let's remove the emit. We don't need it. Let's go to the layout of the board. You can close this, right? Let's see if this tree is shaken when we have the new boards and tickets. Okay, reload this. So here we should have a ticket, but we aren't displaying anything because in the dynamic ticket, I believe we are not having anything. So here I could say props.ticket.title. There you go, perfect. And then if I add a new one, let's say testing function, testing class, testing PHP class, add the ticket, it goes testing class. Now what we need to do is we need to make sure we hide the form. So when we add the ticket there, over here, ticket layout, we actually need, I don't know why I removed that. Here I need const emit, define emits add, and then we can remove these consoles, emit here add, and then when we go to the dynamic board, whenever there is an add on this, we here say show ticket form equal to false. Simple. Perfect. Let's give one final try to the different board. For ticket function to add ticket in Nuxt. Add it. Perfect. Great. Brilliant. So this is our Kanban board. This is our tickets. Now let's try to see how can we change the boards or rearrange the tickets. Now the final bit we need is sorting these tickets. So we can drag the tickets in different boards like this, keep it like this, reload the page, and we still have the same thing, or we put it here, reload the page, or put it to bugs or something like that. So this functionality. Now to begin with, I'll be using this library, which is view draggable. Okay, so this library, we need to be very careful because it's also a view too. See, all you need to do when you install it with saying view draggable and add that at next, so you get the latest version. Perfect. Now I've already written the code to save some time. So first we have to make our board as a client component. This is very essential because this view draggable, this thing is a complete client side component. So sometimes when Nuxt render on server, it might throw some like Windows not found or something like that, because those are JavaScript client side APIs. So we make a client side component by adding this .client in that naming before .view. Next, we get the draggable component. So we got the static ticket as it is. We don't touch that. Then we get the draggable component. Now within each board, we have this draggable component, which is our draggable ticket. Now what we do is, instead of using v-for on this ticket dynamic or our dynamic ticket, what we do is to that draggable component, which comes from the library view draggable, we assign the group of board. That means here, if I go, each is a board. So whenever I want to drag from one board to another, I'm dragging within one group. If you don't have that board, you won't be able to drag from one board to another. It will be only dragged within the same board. So we put that group over there. Now you can either use :list or bind it with a list prop, or you can use vmodel. Anything works. We give all the tickets within that board. We have the change event that emits whenever the board is dragged. This is not needed. I added this, so this is not needed for now. And those classes like we want the flex column, etc, etc, etc. Now this has a named slot. So we have that template. That slot is item, and it sends some value from that slot. You can also pass value to the slot so that the parent can access it through the template, like a reverse of props in a way, but not exactly. But here we have the ticket dynamic, and we pass that element because that element is nothing but each ticket. Because we are using this vmodel, this will be iterated over there. So we get that element, which is the each ticket, and we also need this, don't need this data ID, so we can remove it. And then we have the list of tickets. So we have the list of tickets. That's great. Now the next thing is we have to make sure that our backend is also capable of handling such things. So what's happening is, when I move a ticket, let's put all the tickets in one board for now. Okay, let's reload this. Okay, now in this case we have 1, 2, 3 rank like this. Now when I move the ticket from here to here, the ranks are changed here, as well as the ranks will be changed here, because the two boards will have like that one ticket is getting moved from one board to the other, If you move within the same board, that's not a problem. You can reshuffle it. But when it's moved from one board to another, you also need to adjust the rank in the next board as well as in the current board. So what we do is we have this handle change event. Whenever the ticket is moved within one board, like let's say if I'm shuffling the tickets like this, that means the moved event will be fired, which is this one over here. And this listens to this change function, change event here. So whenever that event is fired, we get the element, which is the ticket itself, then the new index of the ticket and the old index. Now the index starts from 0. So we can either increment the index or we can keep the index as it. Now we have this update ticket function which takes in the payload. I will explain that. But in this case, if we are just moving within the board, we don't need to pass the board ID because we aren't changing the board of that ticket. We are keeping it in the same board. We are just changing the rank. So we pass the ticket, its new rank and its old rank, which is the index position in that array. Now the update ticket function, what it does is it finds the ticket from all the tickets within that board. If we are moving in the same board, we will get the ticket. If we are not moving in the same board, we won't get the ticket because of course you're finding the ticket in a different board which doesn't exist yet because we haven't updated the database, so you won't be able to find in the new board. In case if we are passing the board ID, that means we are adding it to the new board. If we are not passing the board ID, that means we are keeping the ticket or changing the ticket within the same board. So we get the ticket, just use the spread operator, so then we can add this rank to it. The rank is nothing but the new index, like whatever the new rank is plus 1, because the rank starts from 0. I want to make it from 1 to 3 like that. Then I have made an API endpoint which is ticket ID and the move API. So we pass the ticket with it, and then whenever we have the successful response, we can get the data. Let's just see the adding to the same like a new board. Now when we are adding to the new board, what's going to happen is whichever board it's going to get added, we need ID of that board, because this event added will be only fired when you add an item, in this case ticket, to that specific group. So if it's added over here, so only this group will have that event.added. In other words, this board, whatever that board is, like doing board. So we just can get the ID from the props. We have the new index and the old index and the ticket ID, exactly like what we are passing when we are changing only in the same board. And we update the ticket with the required values. So we are just changing the board ID if we are swapping the ticket from one board to other, along with the new rank, of course. Now in the backend, we have the API endpoint, which is ticket move. A post API goes to the ticket controller, to the move function over here. So we validate it. We need board ID and we also need rank. Board ID is not every time required, so we can make this nullable because sometimes we don't need this. Then we get the rank of the ticket. Then we can update the ticket. So we have created this ticket service. So we can create just create a new class to keep the code clean. To that, I pass the input data and the ticket itself. So we can just have the ticket over here using the ID, the string ID. We can ask Laravel, okay, give me the ticket. So it will automatically give me, as we are using ORM, so it will automatically do the database query and give me the ticket. In the move function, we first get the current board ID, so that we can get it from the ticket. Of course, each ticket will have its own board ID. Then we see if the board ID is being passed in the data. If it's passed, great. Otherwise, we keep it null. Then we see if the new rank is passed. Of course, there will be a rank. One time there won't be a board ID, but the rank will be always there. Perfect. Now I want to run all these database queries in one transaction. So that's why I will begin the transaction, because I don't want to make separate transactions. I want to do it in one transaction, and I'm using a try catch block because I'm running the database transaction manually. So in case something fails, I can roll back the transactions securely. So here I have a condition. Is it the same board? So if the new board ID and the current board ID are same, that means it's the same board. Or if there is no new board ID, so we put this as a one condition. So we check if the current board ID is equal to the new board ID, or if there is no new board ID, that means it's the same board. Then if it's the same board, and if the ticket's current rank is less than a new rank, so let's say our ticket was on already rank number 2, we moved it to rank number 9. Let's say we had 10-20 tickets kind of, and we moved from 2 to 9. So the new rank is bigger than the current rank. So what we do is we get all the tickets in that board. So here I can actually say ticket board ID. So I will get all the tickets within that board whose rank is between 3 to 9. Next ticket till the ticket where it will get its new position. I decrement their rank by 1, and then I can put that ticket over there. So the third ticket will become second, fourth will become third, fifth will become fourth, so on, ninth will become 8, and the second ticket will become 9. So we are just pushing the tickets upwards. So this condition will take care of that. In the next case, we have the board is same. Here also we need to do ticket board ID. So the board is same. Okay. And the ticket's new rank is less than the current rank. Let's say the ticket was on the 9th rank and we moved it to the 2nd rank. Other way around. Let's keep it to the 5th rank. Let's take another example. So within that board, I'm going to get all the tickets whose ranks are between number 2 and the current rank, which is 5 minus 1, 4. All those ranks I'm going to increment. So 4 will become 5, 5 will become so on, so on, and so on. And then I will put the new ticket. So in this case, I'm pushing the tickets downward because I'm moving that some ticket to that upward position. Great. Now what if it's not the same board? Let's say this ticket was moved from one board to the other board. So first, we get all the tickets from the old board whose ranks were greater than the current ticket's rank, and we just shift them up because the ticket is removed, so we have to shift the ranks up. And then in the new board, we get all the tickets whose ranks are greater than the new rank. And then we shift them down and we put the ticket in the new board. So this is how you can adjust the ranks. And finally, this was just for the debugging test, like if it works. Then we have the new board ID if it's there. Otherwise, we keep it the current board ID, then the rank, and save the ticket, and that's it. So then we have this functionality here. Perfect. So that's all in this video. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button, and please make sure to share this video with your network. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe to our channel. I'll see you in the next video. Till the next time, goodbye.